line and all that
Right.
shit. We got T. Higgins. That was the second round steal for me.
Yes, it was. I wanted T. Higgins. Man, I was hoping the Jets.
I'm surprised he fell that far. I'm like, y'all picking some. I'm sorry, but he was he was a top 3 receiver. There was a couple receivers. I was like, bro, y'all picking them over him, and he was on Clemson.
Yeah, like I don't understand how he didn't go to the first round. Just on potential alone. Like I ain't.
He's AJ Green. He
got the he got the ability. He got the ability to be that guy. I sure do.
All right, I think we're finally live. Shit, Jesus Christ. Fuck Windows.
I second that.
All right, make sure it's on the right channel. Cool, we're live. Put y'all on the screen.
Manny even making an extreme ass. Oh, my bad.
No, we good. This is the place where sports opinions collide. Dead End Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth B. Inge. Joining me on the show, we got Nikki Duce. What's up, bro?
What's going on? How y'all doing?
We got Shelton J.
How y'all doing, man?
FIFO 24/7.
How you do?
And BZ 430 will be on momentarily. Some of you may know this guy from the Any Given Sunday podcast on the Dead End Podcast Network. You know, the Major League Baseball expert, man. If you want to know anything about baseball, the man covers it. He talks about it. He's a diehard Jets fan, Mets fan, and a Lakers fan. He's all that, man. Manny Brown. What's going on, bro?
What's up, man? I appreciate that intro. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that talks about it. So I appreciate the intro.
Hey, look, here's the thing. They talk a lot of mess about us because we don't talk about baseball like that. But I always tell them, I say, man, y'all got check out Any Given Sunday, man. He got you covered. So
I got you covered. I try to.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, the show's doing great, man. We've had some great guests on. Lately talking to some of your fellow Jets fans and stuff like that. Anything new you have coming up?
Probably take a break for Memorial Day weekend and then back at it next week with thinking of a guest. I ain't got no more Jordan reviews to do, so we're working on something. I'll let y'all know on Twitter and whatnot. What we working on.
Well, go ahead before we. A lot of people do this at the end, but I like to do it at the beginning. Go ahead and let people know where to find you and all the other good stuff, and then we'll jump into the show.
Like Ken said, host of Any Given Sunday. It's available. You can follow me on Twitter at @DManuelBrown. You can follow the show on Twitter at AGS Pod, on Instagram, AGS Podcast, Facebook, Any Given Sunday. Follow me on Facebook, Manuel Brown, Twitter at @DManuelBrown, Instagram, @DManuelBrown. Y'all know where to find me. I'm out there.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to it. Nick?
Let's go.
Let's start with some a more interesting sport than baseball, the NFL. Let's start with the Rooney Rule, because we can end on something that may impact that, but let's start with the Rooney Rule. They I don't know if this was an email leak or some type of leak, but we found out there's being some incentivization going on with the Rooney Rule, some new changes with the proposal, I believe, that's coming up. The main thing is more about draft picks and I guess higher draft picks if you employ a Black person as a general manager, coach, whatever, as far as that back end coaching side. We've been talking for years, especially on this podcast, about Black coaches, Black GMs and all that. And now they're basically trying to somewhat support that, but make it a more of a affirmative action type of ordeal. I wanted to just get y'all thoughts on that.
It just shows how, it just shows how racist the NFL has always been, I feel like. And it's just like, this is just like them throwing a little cookie and just thinking we're going to be like, oh, okay, hey, look what the NFL is doing. They're trying. They're trying their best. I just took it that as like, okay, yeah, They gave us little breadcrumbs and try to make it look good, trying to cover their tracks up, trying to cover the shield up. And it's just like, man, NFL is always on some fuck shit. And I mean, that's how I took that whole thing. When I saw that shit, I chuckled. I laughed. I actually just laughed. Like, they really think they doing something. Like, they probably dropped that shit and was like, way to go. Like, we showed
They
them.
was happy, patting themselves on the back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Patting themselves on the back and stuff. Like, we showed them, didn't we? Like, we're on their side as well. So no, man, it just showed how full of shit the NFL is, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it is, man. Like that's some BS. Like, to the fact that we even have to in 2020 address that. Like, why are we not picking the best man for the job? And when you look at the majority of people that have NFL experience, they're not white. The majority of players, ex-players, the greatest players to play the game, the majority of them are black.
Yeah.
So how in the hell are we not hiring the best people that played the game? Isn't professional sports something where it's kind of like a revolving door, where like young kids that come into it, they see a head coach, but the older cats, we knew him as a player. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. It's just super weak. I agree with what B said, man. It just shows how racist they have been. And this is them trying to throw a bone, but it's just, I have to look at them and just, you know, that meme that's just like what is you doing? It's just weak, man. It's just weak.
Yeah, if you know, when you look at the start of the 2014 season, if you look it up, like you said, the league is 68% African American and 28% white. So it's saying that there's no balance. I can't remember who it was. They were on ESPN the other day. They were talking about how people are hiring people that look like them. So it's kind of like if you feel comfortable in the room with this guy because he reminds you of you share the same background, that's what they're doing. It's basically nepotism. And like you said, hiring friends and friends of friends. A lot of these coaches are retreads. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you look at the Matt Patricias of the world that need to be out of the head coach's job. And Eric Bieniemys who need to be in one. It just doesn't add up. It just does not add up, you know. And I'm a big Panthers fan, but we better have a good year. I'll tell you that, because hiring Matt Rule, when you got Eric Bieniemy right over there killing it, it's got to make some sense to me.
And giving him a 7-year deal at that. Like, this man came into the league with a 7-year deal.
Out of Baylor.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying? You look at
Yeah.
And here's an even greater example of the microcosm of what I'm talking about. You look at the Arizona Cardinals, who hired Steve Wilkes, gave him a year, and fired him, and brought in a losing college coach at that to replace him. A coach that did not win in college.
With Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
Right.
His claim to fame is that he recruited Pat Mahomes, which, yay, great, wonderful.
It just doesn't add up. It don't. And I to be honest, I don't know how you can fix it though. What suggestions would y'all have to fix it?
Well, I'm with everybody. It's ridiculous, but we all know the NFL is racist. I mean, it's no secret. It's 2020. I mean, it's been out in the open for decades that the NFL don't give a damn about people of color. So that's not a shock. I'm conflicted on it though, man, because it's like part of it is like, yeah, it's disgusting and it's tokenism, and it's one of my pet peeves that, like, I just hate tokenism. Like, oh, let's just hire a black person to see we like y'all. See, so I hate that, but at the same time, I'm also in favor. First of all, they're at least they're addressing it, which is sad that you even have to reward them for even addressing it in 2020. But at least they're trying to address it. And I'm for anything that gets people of color jobs. So if we got to reward these teams with first-round picks, cash, or whatever incentives to hire people of color, then I'm with it. You know what I mean? I take the opposite approach. I take the Jason Williams approach. You know, I know a lot of people didn't like what Jay Will had to say the other day, but I kind of see it. It's like, yo, the system that's currently in place is not working.
What did Jay Will say?
Well, he basically said, like, you know, he basically kind of said in layman's terms, like, yo, let's just use it to our advantage. Just like, yeah, if incentivizing these franchises to hire people of color is what's going to get people of color jobs, then so be it. It's just, I'm just paraphrasing. I'm just, you know,
I got you.
Saying like that. But I mean, and it's like, it's true. It's like, yo, if it's going to take a team being rewarded with a 3rd round pick or whatever to hire Eric Bieniemy, then so be it. I hate that it has to be that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We all know that that's disgusting. But I mean, if the status quo is not going to work, and we've seen that it doesn't work. So,
But you know,
why not try to change it?
But to me, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like it should be all or nothing. And to answer Shelton's question, like, there is no fix. And the reason why is because the owners are basically 100% white. What black NFL owner is there? At least a majority owner. I'm pretty sure there's probably some minority owners that don't really have no say or anything.
Jacksonville.
That they're just using this for.
The Jacksonville's, yeah, he's a person of color. That's the only owner I can think of. Yeah.
So what's the percentage of 1 out of 30? You know what I'm saying?
Low.
Low. So you know what I'm saying? Like you're not passing no test with that. So at the end of the day, I think that it has to come down to, you know, the owners, and the owners have to make these decisions. But it's a good old boy system, and we see it. It's not hidden. It's in plain sight. And I want people of color to get high-paying jobs. Obviously, I am pro brother. But at the end of the day, I think that we may need to make a stand. And this goes back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier, right? Like with the holdout, with the players and things of that nature. It's going to have to come to the league, the black players in the league, the melanated people in the league saying, we aren't going to play.
Hold on.
I agree with you, FIFO. Like, I totally agree with you. I was about to say, like, we need to put more onus and more blame on the players union. Like, let's be honest, yo. The NFL players union is garbage. Like, DeMaurice Smith, how does he still have a job? I don't understand. Like, the players union has to show more strength, yo. Like, they bend to the will of the owners constantly. Even with this 18 game schedule that this new CBA that they agree with, the players complain they don't want to play 18 games. They don't want to play. And as soon as you waive that stake, that little bit of extra cash at them, okay, I guess we'll go along with it. Like, it's just, it's infuriating.
But hold on, let me, Ken, I want to ask you this question because I want to get your thought on this because I feel like this is where we're getting to with the conversation. What's more important to you between these two options, black respect or black jobs?
Black respect. Black respect. We don't need handouts. Unfortunately, the way the system has been set up, handouts is what we've been given. History has shown us that some of the elite or the black elite that you so-called see out there have been handpicked. They are, in essence, our overseers to sort of keep all of us in line or to pacify us. This deal, this Rooney Rule, I want to know why all of a sudden this popped up. What are they looking at that we don't have access to? Have black people stop watching? Because this conversation has been taking place for a while about black coaches, especially when they had that exodus, a year or so ago.
Yep.
What I know about white people, what I know about the capitalistic structure that we have, what I know about the elite is that they don't make moves unless money is involved. I think it was in Atlanta or Dallas, and I know Dallas is real fucked up because they have a power structure that exists back then, like that helps make the decisions. I know in Atlanta, when things were being done, there was a situation where it was like 1950 something, and this federal court said you got to open up all the golf courses, and the white people were like, fuck that, we leaving. And the elite power structure there was like, look, why should we give up our golf course, what we like to do, for a couple of Negroes? So they agreed to capitulate to that. And then they spent the months after they made that decision conditioning folks to get used to it. When they, I think it was in Dallas, when they segregated the schools. There was conditioning behind that months before that took place. And then they handpicked the Negroes they wanted to go through the schools. So when I look at that, and when I look at this, and the NFL don't give a damn about black coaches or et cetera, what is the real reason why they are doing this? Because there is one, and it damn sure ain't them wanting to hire more black people. It was something because here's the thing. I heard the owners went to the other owners, and then they went to Goodell about this. Look, owners, you own the team. If you wanted to hire more black people, just fucking hire them. Why do you got to get everybody in lockstep with you to do it? It doesn't make any sense. There is something else going on. This has very little to do about them wanting to do the right thing.
The only thing I could think of is that if we incentivize these teams to do it, like how, man, I think you brought it up, they're at least addressing it. So it's kind of like they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because they can't, Goodell can't turn to the owner and say, y'all need to hire black people or else. Because obviously they pay him to do his job.
Right.
But they also can't come out and blatantly say, look, it's nepotism. We only like fucking with Caucasians.
I think it's publicity. I think, Ken, to your point, I agree with you. There's something afoot. I don't know about have black people stop watching in droves. I don't obviously we don't have these numbers in front of us, so we can't deduce that, but I do think publicity had a lot to do with it. I think when you had articles being written in the New York Times, articles being written in every paper in America, like last year was a big thing. Like last offseason was a big thing. You had every newspaper in America writing stories about literally no people of color even got interviews. Like they didn't even get hired. I mean, Eric Bieniemy didn't even get an interview. Think about that. Did Bieniemy get an interview last year? Like
I think he got a couple.
Yeah, he got a couple interviews.
But it was more. But you could tell like those interviews were like, we just gonna have him
token. It was tokenism. It's like,
token.
yeah, we're just exactly. So it's just crazy. So I think the publicity had a lot to do with it. When money and bad publicity makes these owners do a lot of things they don't want to do.
But
I think that was one of them.
But the NFL is powerful, and I thought I heard or read that the draft, looking at all of the people that were making the draft selections, the optics of that wasn't a good look for the NFL. But at the end of the day, they can survive that, And what I don't like when people are like, oh, but the NFL is changing black lives. Look at all the black millionaires that happened. But look at how that happened on the field. When I hear on the field, I think of cotton fields. I don't know about y'all, but I think of cotton fields. I think about black players on a field and some white people on there. They're on there too, but you have to have some of them there to make it all work. I that's what I think about, because you still have all the white owners that are present there. So yeah, they're making money on the field, but they're not owning anything. So to answer your question, right. Nick Shelton, to answer your question, FIFO was tapping right into it. It's ownership. They have to own the teams, and that's what they have to do to change everything.
So that's the reason.
Go ahead.
And that's the reason why I said that. I think the words that you used, Nick, were a little off. I think that the major thing that minorities need to look at is power, because we have the power, because we are the majority in these professional arenas. So if we are the majority, then that means you have to swing that stick as hard as fucking possible. And what that means is that we hurt in the short term for long-term gain. Because think about it. If the league is 68% black, and that 68% said, you know what, we bouncing and we're going to go start our own league, what do you think happens? Do you think, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, do you think Aaron Rodgers could carry the league? Do you think Tom Brady could carry the league? Or do you think people want to go see Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson? They want to go see Russell Wilson.
We don't know where they're going to go. We don't know where they're going to go with Patty Mahomes. You may stay.
They have split allegiances.
He split.
But at the end of the day, we have to utilize the power. And the thing is that there has to be some type of sacrifice. And the sacrifice is, you know what, there may be a whole year, maybe 2 years where I don't earn football income. But you know what, we are setting up a league for us where we own it. where we're the ones that dictate the rules, where we're the ones that control it. What is Robert Kraft and all them going to do then? What are they going to do? They're going to get replacement players?
But see, people, that's the
Yes,
wishful
they
thinking.
would.
But that's
Yes,
the
they
that's the
would.
wishful thinking. People, that's the wishful thinking because
Yep.
you just say like if you want these players got to be willing to take a sacrifice and they're not going to.
Yeah.
I mean, I just talked about it with the stupid freaking CBA that they just signed. I mean, these players for years complained about they didn't want to play 18
Right.
games and the safety concerns with 18 games. And what happened at the end of the day and the midnight hour when the CBA had to be signed, what happened? They Maurice Smith and the players bent to the will of the owners again. And what happened?
Yes.
We have an 18-game schedule this year. It's like the players are the owners are the owners, man. The owners are the owners. We all know that they're racist. We all know where their allegiance lies. But my thing is, we got to start criticizing these players' unions. We got to start criticizing these players.
Players union for sure.
Facts,
But yeah,
like
and see, here's the thing. It's and I agree with you, people. I see what you're saying. It's just so difficult to get somebody to step out on that limb and be that first person.
Right.
Because when you're talking about the NFL, the difference in the NFL, because what I thought about myself personally was in the NFL, we need a LeBron James, we need a D Wade, some of those type of players who you can tell that, like Chris Paul, who aren't afraid to step out and say certain things. But the NFL life is a short life. It ain't as long as NBA. So you only got a small window to make your money and make that impact. Case in point, Dak. We talk about, you know what I'm saying? You ain't going to get but one, maybe two contracts to do these. You're not going to be playing 13, 14 years at a high level. So you got to do what you got to do for yourself. And like I said, I would love for somebody to be that sacrificial lamb. We just don't have that type player in the NBA, unless I'm in NFL, unless I'm missing them. But
and that's why I was saying like the whole jobs of respect, because right now it seems like I think Manny, you brought it up, like how else are they gonna get these positions now? Like I understand the long term as far as like when we get there, we can have more ownership and all that. More black millionaires are coming out of the wazoo, I feel like now than ever. So it's just like I think we will eventually get there. But for right now, what are the black coaches who want to coach now? Do we have to wait till Kingdom Come, or like Jay Williams said, can we just not take this job right now, even though it's a shitty handout? It's the only way I can get in the door, and we already know that getting in the door is at least a first step to changing something. That's why you want to be an owner.
Getting in the door is bullshit.
It is.
It's bullshit.
So then, what do black coaches do? What do they aspire to right now?
I mean, they're doing what every other black person has done. They're doing their job to the best of their ability to get an opportunity.
And what sucks is we've seen success in these positions. So it should be improving. We saw like Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith in the Super Bowl together. So that should have been the catapult and the springboard to say, we should be growing now. We should get more black coaches because these dudes can do it. They're in the Super Bowl.
Mike Tomlin's carrying the black head coaching.
Yeah, he's carrying the flag.
And they shit on him every time
every chance they get. Every chance they get.
And that's why I say black respect, because the black job ain't doing shit when they shit on you. When you got two black coaches playing in the Super Bowl, what did they get them? All they did was make owners. But if they respect you, then they'll look at you differently. Or you got to get ownership. It got to be ownership. But they're not getting the jobs, Nick, because they don't respect them.
They don't. You had Ozzie Newsome and build that team in Baltimore. And nobody talks about and nobody says like this dude is one of the greatest to ever do it. He was black. So his success should have been. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that should show it's possible. So
but I think this is more. Go ahead, Shel.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say who's next.
No, I was just gonna say I think sports is a microcosm of society, and I think this is a bigger societal issue than it is even a sports issue. Because again, the NFL is not the only corporation that is struggling with this. I mean, Amazon, Google, I mean every billion-dollar entity is struggling with hiring people of color. So the NFL is not the only one. And I mean, look at the other leagues. I mean, how many black coaches you see in MLB? I mean, how many black managers you see in MLB? How many black GMs you see in MLB? You know what I'm saying? Like, outside of the NBA, what other major sports league has any level of representation for people of color?
Hey Manny, and you're right, man. You're spot on. And I'll say this, and then we can move on to the next topic. Again, if the owners really care about this, they should just start hiring people. Action speaks louder than words. And we know the cliche saying, right? But to your point about this being a microcosm of the world, if you look at tech companies, if you look at these startups, if you just go to any of them and just go to the about page and just scroll, it's nothing but white people. You're probably going to see a couple of Indians.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad
Man.
you brought that up. I'm in IT, bro. I'm in IT. I literally can count on one hand how many people of color, including myself, are a part of the entire department. And I work for a local government. And there's 5 brothers on the entire payroll. 5.
And but you know what though, and it's that's wrong too. The only difference to me, and the only reason it's bigger for me on this level, is because we're the majority in this situation. We're the majority, you know, on those outside world, in the outside world, we're not the majority, which we still should have a higher stake because it's still not a good representation, a good balance. It's not what I'm saying at all. But in the NFL, MLB, the same thing. We don't have very many brothers playing baseball, so it could easily be an argument as to why the numbers are so skewed. But in the NFL, where we dominate the sport at just about every position except quarterback, we still need some work there too. It's not fair. It's just not. There's no other way to put it.
And I think the number one issue why the NFL, because the NFL owner is the most powerful owner in any of the 4 major sports. They have the most power, and why they have the most power is because the NFL Players Union, out of the 4 major sports, is the worst. I mean, again, I say it. How does DeMaurice Smith still have a job? To this day, I will never be able to answer that question. I mean, the dude is incompetent.
Columbus, Georgia was known back in the 60s for being extremely racist. A lot of protests and stuff happened in Albany, Georgia, as they like to say. The mayor from Albany called Columbus mayor and said, how do you keep the protests down? And he said, I talked to the top 50 Negroes in my city and used them to pacify them. I'm paraphrasing. And the guy in Albany, Georgia said, I don't even know who my top 50 Negroes is. So when you look at DeMaurice Smith is one of those top 50 Negroes. And that's why they take the deal.
There you go.
All right. Shelton, you brought up talking about Dak and his contract. We're getting more and more information, aka leaks, about his contract deals, right? I think the latest one is 175 mil over 5 years. We don't know the breakdown as far as guarantee or year by year how much he's taking home. But he turned down that deal, and they're saying that he's looking for at least $45 million at the back end of a 5-year deal. We already know how NFL contracts work. No matter how great you are, they want to give you all that money up front because they want to cut you from the back. So what do y'all think about Dak's request, or what do y'all think about the contract itself?
For me, man, it's hard to leave that kind of money on the table. But I get where he's going, and now's the time. Honestly, if you're gonna buck like this, now's the time, because they can't bring anybody else in. You know, they can't. Pretty much everybody's hands are tied right now as far as making moves. So you can pretty much demand what you want when you're in his shoes. Even though they brought in
Alton.
Yeah, Dalton.
I was gonna say Kittner. Even though they brought in same thing. Even though they brought in,
he's a 2020 Kittner.
Might as well. Yeah, might as well.
Even though they brought him in, man, it's not a replacement. I just don't believe that he's brought in to be Dak's replacement. He's brought in to be a top-level backup. And I feel like now's the time to try to get what you want. You're playing for the number 1 team on the planet. You deserve more than anybody else. That's just how I look at it. I'm sorry. If that team is grossing that much money and making as much as Dallas makes, they can afford to pay that man a little bit more. But I don't know. It's just tough. I wouldn't be able to leave 175 on the table, though. I don't know how much of that is guaranteed. Probably what, 100, 125?
I'm only thinking no more than 105. They ain't gonna guarantee that much. Because I think that's why he wants it more on the back end, because maybe he is trying to work with the team and look, I'll take less in the first couple years, but y'all gotta make sure I get guaranteed on the back.
But see, here's the thing: if I'm him, I don't get that logic, because I want it up front. Because what happens if you outplay that contract is they're gonna come back and renegotiate with you anyway. Or if they break it down to where it's more balanced, they still could cut you later on and you lose out on some money. I just give me all of it front loaded. You know what I'm saying?
He's trying to cover for inflation, I believe, and also trying to make up for this bullshit ass contract he's on now that they let expire. So we know in year 5, by the time the rest of the quarterbacks become due, they're going to get some crazy contract. So by the time that year comes out, his contract is going to look like nothing compared to theirs. So I think he's trying to do that as well. I disagree with you. I do believe Dalton is a very viable alternative to Dak Prescott, and I think that's why he's there. He's there for leverage for Jerry Jones. I don't know who leaked this story. I know I've seen Stephen A. Smith decrying foul that nobody has gotten any information about it for a couple of weeks now, or a week or two, and it finally came out. So now we got some details to work off of. Somebody put it out there. But my thing is, I applaud Dak for going for the gusto, trying to get everything that he's due. But I think we're looking at a clear example of what it's like to be a black quarterback, what it's like to be a black player in the NFL at one of the pristine positions. Everybody knows that if Dak was Zach, he would be paid by now. It's that simple. And we're talking about a man that went out here and took all these bullets for his owner. And when it came down to the flag thing, and they're not he's not being rewarded for that, but who gets rewarded for that? If Dak thought that was the case, maybe then he was a fool. But my thing is that shit, what was my other point? God damn it.
I was gonna ask you a question as far as we're saying this about Dak, right? But it seems like the next QB that's behind him is probably the most talked about QB in the NFL right now. It's Patty Mahomes.
And they're already working on negotiations with him.
Oh, Mahomes got a contract already.
But that's what I'm saying. Happening. Like, no one is upset with him getting paid $2 billion, whatever they're gonna give him. They giving him a wheelbarrow, or am I just assuming?
But to be fair, that's another thing. I mean, Mahomes has had the 2 greatest years in the history of any quarterback in history. If you really look at it, I mean, MVP, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, and then wins the Super. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare Dak Prescott to Patrick Mahomes. And to be fair,
won and 6 against winning teams last year.
That's true. I mean, look, I like Dak. I think Dak gets a lot of hate for a guy that's, for the most part, has been pretty successful. The interesting thing with this contract situation is leverage. Dallas is already showing their hand. They're showing that, hey, we have the leverage. We have Andy Dalton waiting. We can debate whether that's a good piece of leverage or not, but nonetheless, it's leverage. I want to know what leverage Dak has, because if you look at the quarterback market, there's a lot of teams with young quarterbacks that I don't think are necessarily in need of a quarterback next year. And I mean, just look at the market right now. I mean, let's just play this out. Let's just say he becomes a free agent, he hits the open market. What's a team that's going to pay Dak $45 million?
Right.
I mean, look at the divisions. I mean, Philly's got a quarterback. The Giants think they have a quarterback.
Chill out.
I mean, you like what I did there, right? No, but I mean, the Giants are going to give Daniel Jones more than a year and a half, right? So, I mean, maybe the Redskins, if
Haskins gone. Yeah, Haskins gonna be gone.
If Haskins don't work out and old boy from Carolina doesn't work out, I mean, maybe the Redskins. I mean, if you look at the NFC South, only team I can think of in the South is maybe New Orleans when Breeze retires and they don't believe in Jameis. I mean, I can see New Orleans being a destination. I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay him, $45 million. I mean, you just look around the league. I just don't see a market for Dak. So I think that hurts his leverage more than anything else, because you got to think about it. When these quarterbacks are negotiating contracts, like Aaron Rodgers already has leverage. He knows that 32 teams, if he's on the open market, 32 teams are going to be vying for Aaron Rodgers' services. Same thing for Patrick Mahomes. Same things. I mean, honestly, even for Lamar Jackson. Like, Lamar Jackson, if he continues his ascension as a great quarterback and he somehow hits the open market, you're going to have 32 teams vying for Lamar Jackson. So I just don't see that with Dak. That's the problem. And if I'm Dak, I understand where he's coming from. It's like, yo, Kirk Cousins got 96 or around $90 million guaranteed. But y'all fussing at me for winning at least $100 million. And you could argue that Dak is better than Kirk Cousins.
And that, you just reminded me of what I was going to say. And I've been saying this in the chat, and I think I may have said it on the program as well. Jerry don't want Dak. I've been saying Jerry don't want. If Jerry wanted Dak, this deal would be done. He don't want him. And that's what I think it is. If all of these other guys got paid, if Kirk Cousins got that money like that, Jerry don't want that.
I'm not gonna say he don't want him. Like I think he wants him, and I think he realizes that Dak's a good quarterback. But the problem is Dak a great quarterback? And I think that's what Jerry's struggling with.
Right.
I think Jerry's looking at it like, is this a guy that I'm really gonna pay $45 million to?
Right.
All I heard last year was that Dak was top 10. If you listen to Undisputed, top 5. Even Skip Bayless has turned his back on Dak Prescott in the last. Shannon Sharp called his ass out. So even Skip done walked away. See, white people, they stick together, bro.
I would say this. I think Jerry, he wants Dak. He just don't think Dak is a bad bitch. All right. He don't think Dak is a dime and I shouldn't pay dime piece money, dime piece services. He think Dak is above average, slightly above average. Somebody you can have around your arm at a nice little event, but you ain't taking them to the Met Gala. So I just think that that's the number that he has a cap on the number for Dak. And on top of that, he's also looking at around his team. Like, I still got maybe a couple other players I need to pay later down the line too. Like, you got CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is
I think it's personal.
I think Dak should just sit back. I think he should pull a Joe Flacco move. Remember when Joe Flacco was heading to a contract extension with the Ravens? And there was a lot of questions about Joe Flacco. Like, is he elite? He's good, but is he that guy that you can win with? And what happened? Joe Flacco went out there. He had a good season. The Ravens make an incredible run to the Super Bowl. He balls out in 4 playoff games. And what happens? Joe Flacco cashes in. And then he has leverage now. Because now Joe Flacco, now the fan base is turned. Joe Flacco won us a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco balled out. We can't possibly let Joe Flacco go. What happens? Joe Flacco becomes the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So it's all about leverage and timing. So for me, I think it's up to Dak, honestly. Like, I feel like if I'm Dak, I just sit back. I'm like, look, these are my contract demands. This is what I want. But I'm not going to talk about my contract anymore. I go out there, I ball out. Dallas has a hell of a team on paper. Dallas has a hell of a roster. Like, there's no excuse why Dallas should not win that division next year. If there even is next year, that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But if they go out there and they win that division and Dak balls out and at the very least gets them to an NFC championship game, Dak has a strong case to be made. Like, why wouldn't you pay me? You going to get to an NFC championship game with Andy Dalton?
That's what I was going to ask y'all. Like, what would they have to do if he signs a franchise tender for him to get that money? How successful would Dallas have to be for that to get paid?
Joe Flacco
skin.
That Joe Flacco resume that Manny laid down for that year. That year was Joe Flacco was a Christian that year because he had to be close with God. Because he beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady in the same year. Like, come on, like that's he had a phenomenal random run
when Cap was at his prime. He beat Cap. Yeah,
exactly. So it was just like he had a phenomenal run. I don't think that can just turn that on and just become the number 1 quarterback in the world.
I mean, he's capable of it.
I don't know.
Who
not
thought
yet.
Who thought Joe Flacco was going to do that though? Who thought Joe?
But Joe Flacco was in a year for he was in the league for some years and he was competitive with his team. I think right now the Cowboys, that's the one thing is like you just mentioned, like, or Ken mentioned it, as far as they haven't been really that great with that. Like, they haven't even. How many times have they really gone deep in the playoffs in the last few years? They won a lot of games in the regular season, but in the last few years when it comes to the playoffs, they probably won and done. So it's just like that's another thing. And then on top of that, they have a lot of talent. So it's just like if the talent isn't it, they just fired their head coach who's been there for a decade or a minute.
That's the there you go. You just brought up the key.
That's big.
Be in FIFA. Y'all
just brought up the key. Yep. You brought up the key. They fired.
Ken, hold on. I'm about to wrap it up. I'm about to wrap it up with a bow. Hold on, Ken.
Go ahead.
I'm saying all this not because I don't believe in Dak. I'm talking about the Cowboys, Ken. There's a difference. I'm just saying, as a team, I understand. I understand why they're doing what they're doing. My thing is more about the position of quarterback and the lack of respect it is. And I think, Ken, you brought it up as far as the black quarterback and what they have to do. Patty Mahomes, yes. He did exactly what Manny Brown just talked about with Joe Flacco. He had an astronomical, not only first year starting, but a second year to back it up with the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl MVP. That's the only reason why Patty Mahomes is really looked at as far as like, okay, we'll give him a barrel of money.
This can't be the same guy that's been going to bat for Dak Prescott for the last.
I know,
year.
right?
This is not the same person. This is not the same guy.
I still believe in that, but
not what you saying, not the way you talking.
All I said last year was Dak was top 10, and his numbers proved that. This year, what I'm saying,
you was going ham for Dak, brother. You was going ham for him. This is not the way you talking right now. I don't know where is Nick. Where is Nick Dussain? You're not around here, brother.
All I'm saying is that I can't deny what the facts are. It's like he hasn't won enough.
The same facts we were telling you all season long.
But my issue was the position. The position has always been about whoever's up next get paid. That's all I've been trying to say is that, and it's Dak's turn to get paid. No matter what.
It's time for your mic to get cut off. No, bro. Look, it's not just about position. It's about production. And when you're talking about quarterbacks, it's about wins. And that's what we were trying to tell you. The production was a little empty and the wins were not there. We're arguably one of the best rosters in the NFL. And that's what we continually told you all last year. And look, Dak is above the fray. But if there's how many teams are there? Is it 16? I mean 32 or is it 30?
32.
32 teams. Dak is above 16, but he's not high. Like he's not top 10 because he don't win. And like I told you, the analogy that I used last year with Russell Wilson, right? Russell Wilson is a truck. He's an 18-wheeler. He's the head of that truck that could pull any trailer that you put back there. It don't matter what you put inside that trailer, he could pull it. He's proven it time and time and again. Dak Prescott. Let me ask you this, Nick, and I want you to be 100% honest. Hold on one sec, man. Answer me this. Whose roster is better, the Cowboys or the Seahawks over the last 3 years?
Who has a better
Cowboys.
coach?
We're not talking coach. We're talking roster.
But that's
Roster.
important for you. Like, that's
I'm not saying that it's not important, but just answer this question because I'm leading y'all down the path.
He gonna prove his point, but I'm gonna come back on him. But yes, the Cowboys had a better roster.
With that being said, right, why hasn't Dak had more wins in the last 3 years than Russell Wilson?
What do you mean he has?
Cumulative. Like all 3 years combined.
Yes.
You saying that Dak hasn't had more wins than Russell Wilson?
Oh, let me look up.
I think coaching has a lot to do with it. I mean, you can't compare Pete Carroll to Jason Garrett. I mean, that's just that's just. I mean, Jason Garrett is a plumber. I mean, we all realize.
But you know what? Okay,
like
so all right. So
that's a factor.
But no, 100%. But let me question Pete Carroll. What was Pete Carroll before Russell Wilson got there?
True, but it's a symbiotic relationship. No coach wins without a quarterback, and a lot of QBs need that coach to bring that out of them. I'm not saying every QB needs that, but you can't ignore the coach quarterback relationship. You can't ignore.
And I never ignore that. I think I'm the one that champions that the most on this show, by far. However, when I look at Pete Carroll prior to Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll was a year away from being removed from that job.
Facts,
Russell Wilson
absolutely.
saved his job.
Facts.
No one's
gonna argue that.
No, 100%. But if Russell Wilson is there, then I'm saying like we can argue Jason Garrett and Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll, very fascinating at USC, but all of that crumbled, and he was on the brink of Seattle crumbling right in front of him. And then guess what happens to Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll's an afterthought. He's not a Hall of Fame coach. He's not a guy that we put in high regard. So that just shows in the NFL how slim it is from success to failure. And all I'm saying with the Dak Prescott situation is that if I'm Jerry Jones, and anybody hold me honest, right, based off of what I was saying last year and everything I've been saying about Dak, I don't know that I would hitch my trailer to Dak Prescott because he doesn't win.
Okay, hold on.
And that's fair. And that's fair.
Hold on, let me. So FIFO asked who had a better record between Seattle and Cowboys
all 3 years.
3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle has more wins by three wins more than Dallas. I will say this though. As far as resume, whose resume is better, Carson Wentz or Dak Prescott?
Whose resume?
Whose
Carson
resume is
Wentz.
better?
Carson Wentz.
No.
Yeah.
Carson
the
Wentz,
Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz's peak has been better than Dak Prescott. But to be fair, it's a little unfair to judge Carson Wentz because he's had two major injuries.
I'm just
So that's
talking.
a
I'm
little
just talking
unfair.
about. I'm just talking
But-
about the resume.
but-
I just said the resume.
To piggyback off your point, Nick, I'm on your side. To piggyback off your point, 2016, Dak Prescott, 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 3,600 yards. 2017, 22, 13, 3,300 yards. I'm ballpark figure on the yards, right? 2018, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 3,800 yards, almost 3,900 yards, with a 96.9 QB rating. In 2019, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 99.7 QB rating, 4,902 yardage. That's not a guy that you pay?
Well, here's the thing.
I was only
here's
bringing
the
up
thing, though,
Carson.
man. Here's the thing, though, man. The thing is, the numbers are one thing, but the context and the wins and losses are a completely different thing. It's
Absolutely.
a completely different thing. And I think that when you look at a roster that's talented, it's about now because your window isn't large. Because obviously this is football. Injuries are part of the game. Your major guys are going to get hurt, and not just for a short amount of time. Their window is right now. So you need a guy that can go in there and get the job done. And all I'm saying, I'm not saying that replacing Dak is that easy. I'm not saying that you just can go get Joe Schmo, you know what I'm saying, and go win you a Super Bowl. But what I'm also saying is that it's better to cut ties early than too late and waste the window that you currently have.
Correct.
Yeah,
I don't know. For me, it's just like if you're supposed to get paid around this time, you're supposed to get paid around this time. They paid Carson Wentz when his resume doesn't look as anything comparable to Dak. And I know you talk about context. I know you're saying context, but I'm only talking about facts. No matter how much context you want to put on it, he don't got the wins to match up with Dak.
Look at
Jared
Kirk
Goff
Cousins.
got paid too.
Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Come on. Don't even bring up Jared Goff.
That's all I'm saying.
That dude had one of the worst Super Bowl performances I've ever seen. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying, people, and I'm there 100%. And I'm not even a Dak guy. Like, it's crazy. I'm finding myself defending Dak. Like, I get what you're saying. I think we're having two discussions. The discussion we're having is, does Dak deserve to get paid relative to the other guys at his position, or is Dak an elite level quarterback? And maybe the conversation is blurred to us to an extent. But my thing is, like, if we're just having a discussion on contracts, right? Just money. That's all we're talking about. Do I think that Dak Prescott at the very least deserves what Kirk Cousins gets? Absolutely. Like, what the hell has Kirk Cousins ever done?
100%.
If we
just discussing money, then I think Dak should get paid. Now, if we discussing whether Dak is a legitimate elite, like I can basically mortgage my future betting on Dak Prescott if I'm a Cowboys fan winning me a championship, then that's a separate discussion. That is a discussion that we can definitely
Manny,
have.
that's what that's the discussion that Jerry Jones and people in the media and some people on this damn podcast be trying to make it. It's like, nah, nigga, I understand if we going by the potential of Dak, that's a whole conversation where I'm gonna probably lose that. But if we're just going off of what he's done and why he should get paid, that's the one I'm going with.
But Nick, real quick, Shep, but Nick, that's the debate. That's the conversation he's losing at the table. That's the problem. Go ahead, Shelton.
He just needs to really go in there and have the FIFO rule mindset. Is you got 4 years, and then you better show yourself. So I think, like FIFA always say, by that 4th or 5th year, we need to see what he is. I think he's shown enough to be there, but I think this would be the year that he would step over the hump. I think this would be the year that Dak would have that
absolutely.
Year. And I'd rather have
this is the year. This is a very year.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have him at quarterback because he's a good leader. If nothing else, the kid can lead. And I think he'd be a solid choice to be back there with Zeke.
I agree. I don't want Dak to go out there and play on this franchise tag and have a terrible year. I want this man to get what he's deserved. Manny brought up Kirk Cousins. This man got paid and he ain't done shit. I think he ain't done shit.
He just
the way that some of these other guys that have got paid. Give this man his money.
Right.
But the other thing that you got to look at it, if he goes out there and he balls on a 1-year deal, which is essentially what the franchise tag is, right? If he goes out there and he balls on that on that deal. Now he has more leverage.
Yes.
Let's just play this out. Let's just say the Cowboys get to a Super Bowl. Forget winning a championship. Let's just say they get to a Super Bowl, right? They lose by field goal, whatever. And Dak balls out the entire playoffs, right? And balls out in the Super Bowl. And I know I'm playing the what if game. But now his leverage has almost doubled. And now he could come back to the table and was like, yo, all that talk about me not winning, I just got y'all to a Super Bowl. Look at my numbers for the last 4 years. They're on par with any of the quarterbacks that are making the amount of money that I'm asking for. And on top of that, I just got you to a Super Bowl. Like, so, the leverage is there.
We're gonna be right back here having the same conversation.
And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
Because Cam got the Panthers to a Super Bowl, and this nigga can't even get a job.
But that was years ago.
Cam got paid.
And he did get his money.
Yep,
Cam got paid.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, Nick. I feel that you're missing in this, even though you said it previously. The timing. Dak's timing isn't necessarily the greatest. And I got 2 words for you. Matt Stafford. Is that what you want Dak Prescott to be? Because that's essentially what he's going to be. That you're going to pay him. You're going to have to let other talented people go, and then you're going to be a mediocre to losing squad every single year, because that is what Dak has proven himself to be, his value as a quarterback. Let's be honest. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't get paid because Kirk Cousins got paid. You 100%. I take Dak Prescott over Kirk Cousins any day. You already know that. However, the timing of Dak Prescott and also the inability to win the big game, a la Tony Romo, his predecessor, is going to hurt him. And it's why he really does not have the leverage. Because if he would have won last year, or at least make it to the playoffs, if he would have made it to the playoffs and lost first round, it is what it is. He has more leverage. He don't have the leverage, bro. He don't have the you have one of the best O-lines, no longer the greatest O-line in the NFL, but you have a top 5, top 7 O-line in the NFL. You have a top 2 running back right behind you. You have a top 5, 7 receiving corps. You know what I'm saying? Like, the defense is decent. It isn't hellacious. It isn't going to shut anybody down, but it's good enough to get you the ball back as a quarterback for you to go score points. And you didn't make the playoffs in a division where the Eagles had all of these injuries.
And I'll tell you this.
Comes Carson Wentz. No. You gonna eat that. You gonna eat that.
I got 2 words for you.
Like Carson Wentz coming out here, throwing to the 7th and 8th guy. They might have well got 12 Kyle out there. And they won the damn division again. What the hell is that?
Hey, I got 2 words for you, FIFO. Jason Garrett. All right? You ain't gonna win a goddamn game like that with Jason Garrett. And you've talked about Jason Garrett plenty of times on this podcast.
100.
So you already know what it is. And and like Manny said, we know coaching can make a big ass difference. We talked about Mike Tomlin. I don't think any other coach can deal with what Mike Tomlin has dealt with and still not have a losing record. So that's what I'm saying. Coaching with any team will make a big difference. We'll see what Mike McCarthy can do with Dak this year. But if we're talking about, you brought up Seattle versus the Cowboys the first time, we saw that playoff game and Dak came out on that one. And that wasn't too far ago. It wasn't last year, like you mentioned. They didn't make the playoffs, but it was just the year before. So it's not like he ain't shown us something.
It's not enough.
To be fair, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have one of the greatest drives in playoff history, 3-4 years ago, he beats Aaron Rodgers and he matched Aaron Rodgers throw for throw in that game. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't have one of those like godlike drives, Dallas gets to an NFC Championship game.
But
and
that's
who knows?
the difference.
Maybe
but that's the reason. But that's why guys get paid and guys don't get paid, because of that right there. And Dak don't have
Facts. But
all I hear. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think you cannot ignore the Jason Garrett factor. Like, I don't think you can ignore that. Now, I agree with everybody. I think this is a make or break year for Dak. No more excuses. We all agree Mike McCarthy is a better coach than Jason Garrett. I mean, almost by default, he's a better coach, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a prove it year for Dak. No more excuses. No more nothing. Like, you got to go out there, ball out, like you have the potential and you've shown the flashes to do. And then at the end of the day, the contract will be there. If not by the Cowboys, definitely by somebody else. I think anyway.
Somebody pay him.
By somebody else, because I'm telling you guys, Jerry don't want Dak. Not for 5 years, not for 4 years. He do not want this guy. It's really that simple. You guys have laid out a great case. This contract should be done. He don't want him.
Here's the thing too, Manny, to what you're saying. Great quarterbacks. I understand that the head coach is a very important role on an NFL team. Again, I talk about it the most in terms of that relationship between head coach and quarterback. However, the great ones can win in spite of their coaching.
Facts.
The great ones.
Absolutely.
Look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers hasn't always had that best relationship with his head coach. They haven't always been on the same page. But give me one drive like between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, you know, Russell Wilson. Give me one drive. There's a select few of guys that I would want to have the ball with one drive, and Dak is nowhere near that list. And all I'm saying about Dak, his value. Look, should he get what Kirk Cousins gets paid? Yes, but is Kirk Cousins the highest paid quarterback in the league right now? No. So Dak shouldn't be the highest paid quarterback in the league right now, regardless, even though this is his time. He hasn't proven that value. Because, again, I'll bring up Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford, at once upon a time, was the highest paid and by a lot. Was the highest paid, and B knows, highest paid quarterback by a lot. They couldn't add other, I don't know either. And tremendous arm talent, but doesn't have the other, you know, in the gumbo, he don't have all of the spices that make it taste good. He just don't. And for whatever reason, look at the damn Lions. You pay Matt Stafford all this money. You can't get other guys on this roster. And second of all, they haven't drafted well. You know what I'm saying? So that adds to it as well. But at the end of the day, when you pay a guy over his market value, your team is going to suffer in the long run. So much so that they didn't even want to draft Tua. Come on, man. Come on.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong.
All right, last dance.
Last dance.
Because I think that was it, right?
No. We I had one question for FIFA. We was gonna switch to NBA real quick. One quick cleanup. It's 17 games for NFL this upcoming, not 18, 17.
Okay.
But yeah, FIFA. Paul Pierce said LeBron James ain't top 5. Tell me why he ain't top 5.
Paul Pierce a hater. And LeBron done gave Paul Pierce some of LeBron's best games ever. So that's why he hating like that.
So it's not even fathom. Like you can't fathom.
What did he say the reason behind? He had a reason behind that. I can't remember what it was.
I think he said he jumped around too many teams.
Yep, and hasn't built a dynasty, something like that.
Yeah, he didn't stay anywhere. He didn't start a team like the other ones.
I'm not saying I'm not agree. I'm not saying I agree, but it's a fair criticism.
No,
100%.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism to say that he hasn't necessarily built a team dynasty, but LeBron is unique in the sense that he is the dynasty. Wherever he goes, you're gonna win. It don't matter the rest of the roster that's on that squad when LeBron gets there. You are going to compete for a championship the moment he decides to sign his name on that contract.
He's a traveling rock star.
That's a good one, FIFO. That's a good flip. He is the dynasty.
Yeah,
he is.
But he is bringing along a nice little cast with him wherever he go. I tell you that.
Of course.
Yeah, he got an entourage.
He ain't going nowhere empty-handed.
No. And he pulls strings. He's gonna get what he wants. But I'm just saying, if LeBron's on your team, you competing for a championship.
Yeah. Well, LeBron like playing 2K. You know how you keep trading players around. He got that mode turned on.
One more NBA topic I have. B, what do you think about the rumors of Bradley Beal going to Brooklyn?
Oh man, I saw y'all was talking about that earlier. I mean, shit, that'll be an interesting trio, but I will see how would behaviors, how would they get along together, you know, as far as like, I'm more concerned on how would they get along off the court. Well, they probably won't be around each other off the court that much besides
man.
Yeah, it's interesting.
How many basketballs?
I mean, if they get wins, look, wins will cure everything. So I mean, it may look bad if they're losing, but if they're getting wins, trust me, Manny, winning cures everything. They won't.
That's what KD thought.
Yeah. I said, what again? You said what you say again?
I said that's what KD thought.
Oh, when he
And
was at Golden
then he
State.
got called a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, but see, I don't remember Bradley Beal having such a like a big personality like that. So
Oh, he and John Wall didn't get along at all.
and see,
Yeah,
I thought
they
that was
don't.
mainly off because of John Wall being the more erratic person.
Like any relationship, there's a two-party system there. So this I'm sure Bradley Beal wasn't exactly an ideal person to get along with either. I don't think
It may work though, because it may work though, because you know how some people just be glad to get out of the situation they're in, then they make it work. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like, I'm just so glad to be gone from Washington.
Yeah, I'm not counting it out. I think, like you said, Sheldon, I think if they in a situation where they can probably have a chance to win the Eastern Conference and possibly get to the finals, I would think they would want to make it work. I would think.
Tell me.
So I got two reasons.
Tell me what Kyrie you're getting, and tell me who the coach is, and then we'll see if it works.
Go ahead,
So,
Sifo.
So no, Manny definitely touched on the 2 points that I was going to touch on, but I'm gonna go a little bit different though. So number one, the coach is 100% important, because what system are you going to run? How are you going to utilize these 3 main offensive weapons, right? Number two, it's not necessarily the Kyrie version that you're going to get. We know what Kyrie is. He's a ball pounder, scoring, create my own offense type of guy. With that being said, Bradley Beal can create his own shot, but I think that he's most deadly and effective catch and shoot situations. KD as well. KD, he can just do whatever the hell he wants on the basketball court. He's God.
I don't know. I think Bradley Beal showed that he can do more often, because with John Wall not being there.
And I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just saying the most efficient way for Bradley to score is catch and shoot, running off of picks. You're saying not having to have to create his own shots as often. Not saying he can't do it. He could definitely do it, but from a systematic way to make all 3 of those guys fit, he's the one that has to take the least amount of dribbles, just like Klay Thompson. Mm-hmm. He has to take the least amount of dribbles. With that being said, I don't know if Kyrie is unselfish enough to make it work, because it's gonna be that dynamic is on Kyrie. It's not on KD. Mm-hmm. You know what you brought KD in there for. You know what you're bringing Bradley Beal in there for. Kyrie has to mature as a leader and as an unselfish player, meaning that I have to sacrifice my points and my oohs and ahs with the bucket, and instead of with the bucket, you get it with the dish. He has to make that transition just a little bit. I'm not saying that he has to become Steve Nash or Jason Kidd, but he has to average more assists than what he does.
So pretty much you got to be an Isaiah Thomas, pretty much like a Zeke.
Yeah, ideally. I mean, I'm just not that sure that that's just a fit from a I mean, forget off the court. I mean, even just from a basketball perspective, I'm just not sure that it's just a great fit. It's just awkward because you got 3 guys that need the ball. I mean, need the ball strong, but like the ball in their hands. They want to score. They have scorer mentalities. And I just don't know if it's a fit from I mean, I'm not even sure that Kyrie and KD are a fit from a basketball perspective. And then you throw in you throw in a Bradley Beal into that. That's why I said how many basketballs we playing with. Because I don't see it working. And the biggest reason I don't see it working is because Kyrie's just not that point guard, man. Kyrie is just not that guy. And I love Kyrie. He's Duke family. So I never disrespect Duke family. But I just don't. He's not that guy that's a leader, man. He's not going to lead a team. He's not going to be a guy. And to me, for a team, for a trio like that, your point guard needs to be a leader. Your point guard needs to be that facilitator, that guy that makes just guys around him better. That's the underrated ingredient with the Warriors, man. I think that's the underrated aspect of Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a leader, and he's a playmaker. He's a guy that gets other people involved, that makes other people around him better. And Kyrie's just not that guy. And I agree. I don't see that as a basketball fit to me.
But Manny, but you know what's a big factor in that, and I think that this is what the Nets would need as well. If they're going to make that Bradley Beal move, by all means, because at the end of the day, basketball is about a talent race, and if you can acquire that type of talent, go ahead and get it. But then it's how do you fill out the roster, right? And I think what allows Steph Curry to be as great and make people around him better is Draymond. Draymond is the real true
That's true.
heart and soul of that team. So I think that if the Nets made that move, they need a point forward type of guy. A guy that's unselfish, definitely he's not gonna shoot more than 3-4 times a game, just put backs and rebounds and things of that nature. But he's the main one out there facilitating, setting picks, doing the dirty work. Because you can't rely on Kyrie to be that main playmaker. He needs to split that duty with somebody else, and it's not gonna be Bradley Beal or KD. Like they can do it, but they're not going to be the main guy. So they're going to need to find a point forward that is okay with that role. And I think that if you find that, and then they already have two rim running defensive bigs in terms of Buddy with the Fro, I can't think of his name right now, and DeAndre
Jared
Allen or something like
Jared
that.
Allen.
Josh
You know
Allen.
what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got two big men that already fit what those three guys want to do. They're gonna put up shots. You need to go get rebounds. They need a point forward that can also play make and take that ball handling duties away from Kyrie to make Kyrie a scorer. Like, go get buckets.
I think I'm in the minority who think this could actually work. I think my
You're always
only
in the minority.
The example that I said in the chat was it's a Kawhi Leonard to the Raptors shot. You know what I'm saying? If it's a you pushing all your chips in the middle and saying, fuck it, we going all in and we gonna make it, we gonna just have one shot and see if it works. And obviously the Raptors, they got the better end of that deal. But I think it could work because, man, you brought up Steph Curry. I'm looking at his assists for the last 3 years, and they're very similar to Kyrie's. And this is with Kyrie being from Boston to now Brooklyn. Like, Kyrie's averaging a solid, his assist game went up from leaving Boston. Like, he's almost averaging 6.5 to 7 assists a game. While Steph, I'll just go for the last 3 years and not counting this past one is just about 6. So I think it could work. I think Bradley Beal is the reason why he doesn't get a lot of flack in Washington more than John Wall thinks, because everybody knows he's the better player.
Steph get hockey assists though, so he'll kick that ball and he's on the move and he'll get it back, or he kicks it to a pass. So I don't really look at it that way.
But no one ever looks at Steph Curry as an assist guy. We know what he is.
No, right. We bring it up.
But the ball doesn't.
I'm bringing it up to say that he can. I think Kyrie can be that point guard to help lead the team.
Assists are different. Go ahead, FIFA.
Nah, Nick, because Steph Curry moves the ball and Shelton's 100% right. Steph Curry gets a lot of hockey assists. Also, I would beg for you to look at how many assists Draymond averages. How many power forwards average the amount of assists Draymond gets, right? And a lot of that is because pick and roll, right? Like picture it now. Pick and roll between Steph and Draymond. Steph gets the ball to Draymond, and then now Draymond has a disadvantage, and he's a high IQ guy. He can pick the defense apart because you have to double team Steph Curry off of the pick and roll. So Draymond is an integral part, and also Steph Curry, even though he averages around the same, if not less than Kyrie in terms of assists, he is a willing passer and ball mover. He may not wind up with the assists, but he's more of a ball mover than Kyrie. Kyrie has to pound the rock for Kyrie to be at his greatest.
You don't think that KD will fill in that Draymond role as far as
no?
Heck no.
Not his game.
That's not his game. KD has proven
that he can get assists,
but he can prove he's proven in championship games. In championship games, he's proven that he can get assists. He can move the ball around.
It's not just assists. That's not the game. The game is more the dirty work and all the little stuff as far as facilitating. KD is the scorer. So KD needs a Draymond. He's not a Draymond. So that's the real difference.
Can he do Draymond-like things? Yes. Because KD's that great. But if you marginalize KD to be a primary playmaker and dirty man, then you're not utilizing his God-given gifts.
At all.
So it's like why even have KD? Go get 3 other guys that can do a version of what KD does and have more depth.
Right.
So y'all think that Bradley Beal does not move this team forward at all, just by presence alone?
No.
Not me.
And the only reason is because I need to see what the rest of that roster is.
Yes.
Because think about it. If they're gonna make that trade, bro, they're gonna give up Karis LeVert. They're gonna give up who's the other guard that they have?
Woody.
Yeah.
They're gonna give up they're gonna give up Allen too.
Yeah, Allen, Joe Harris. So that roster is gonna be very stripped, and you're
gonna be gutted.
is going to be gutted. You need some type of chemistry and you need some type of cohesion. You need people, because think about it. Those three guys are pretty boys in the sense that their primary job is to go get buckets. They're not getting dirty. They're not sending hard screens. They're not diving on the ball. Championship, of course they are, but that's just not what they do best. So who are those guys that they're going to get to do that? I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that they can't coexist, but two major things: what the rest of that roster look like, and who's the head coach.
Yes, because right now, what I was going to say, right now they have a high level supporting cast. So the team is great. I'm going to say great, but it's a really, really good team as constructed. If you tinker with that a little bit, like you add a Bradley Beal, I'm not saying it's going to go, to the dumps, because it still may be okay, but I think you lose out to what you already have. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, it depends on what it's going to take to get him in there. That's like you said, that's the biggest thing. And who's the coach? I saw where DC said that the coach would be Ty Lue. And I was like, that's a good choice. And they better bring back Field so they can run that triangle. That's what they better do.
because Ty Lue. No, go ahead, man. I've been talking a lot.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Finish your point.
So I like Ty Lue because he's a manager of egos, but Ty Lue's not necessarily the greatest X's and O person.
Yep.
Right.
And I think that Ty Lue can get out coached when you're starting to talk the final four teams in the NBA. Ty Lue can get out coached. And we've seen it in the past. KD he not gonna hold his tongue. He gonna throw people under the bus. Kyrie gonna throw people under the bus. Bradley Beal is the most tight-lipped out the three. But those other two, the burner accounts, we gonna come back and then go to another team. Bruh, like that thing could be a major shit show.
And you throw all that with the New York media, that's just like sharks and swimming in the water. I mean, on paper it just looks wonderful. I mean, it looks sexy on paper, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't think it's a fit. And then the other thing you got to think about too is like, what Kyrie are you getting? Kyrie is moody. He's emo. Some days he's happy. Some days he's mad. He hates the media. He's not going to talk to the media. Today he loves the media. He thinks the earth is round and it's flat. I mean, what Kyrie are you getting? To me, I think if Beal comes to this team, I think it's going to be another Boston situation. It's going to be a team full of talent, but a lot of egos that need to be in check. And you got a lot of guys, and you got two guys in Kevin Durant and Kyrie that are weirdos, man. Their personality.
But those two guys won chips, so I would think they know how to win. They know what winning costs. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't win chips. LeBron won that chip, and the Golden State Warriors won that chip. Get it right, Nick.
I'm just going off.
They weren't the catalyst, Nick. They were not the catalyst.
One of them was a multiple Finals MVP. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, with the Warriors, he jumped
by
on the back.
default.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
You said by default. He made the shots.
I'm not gonna say by default, but
come on.
KD's accomplishments are there. Kyrie was a little bit more debatable, but I mean, another thing too is what KD are we getting? Everybody's just assuming that KD's gonna come back off this injury, the same KD. Like, can I see KD play 20 games and know that he's healthy and that Achilles is no longer an issue? I'm just not gonna go ahead and just say 100% that KD's gonna come back to be the KD of old. So man, I got to see that too.
Well, here's the thing, and you know why it doesn't matter why if he is or isn't the old KD, because KD got crazy old man game. He's the black Dirk, and even if he can't run and jump no more, he gonna get buckets, bro. He gonna get buckets. You're not gonna stop it. If you're not, but at the end of the day, that's primarily what makes KD great, right? Is how efficiently he can get buckets, and it doesn't matter how old he gets. He could be 39, 40, and he's gonna get buckets in the NBA as long as he wants to. But I wanted to throw this. I know we're going a little bit long, but you know how it is. Personally, I think the best head coach for the New Jersey Nets, granted if they get those three guys, I would say Mark Jackson. Because I think Mark Jackson is one of those tough love, put you in your place, this is how we're going to play type of coaches. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that, let's talk and you're going to get run over by KD and Kyrie. You need a guy that they respect ultimately, and he knows what the hell he's talking about because he had success in terms of building up a team that was on the brink of greatness already.
What about Tibbs? What about Thibodeau? That's the
I
guy I would
don't
go
like.
for.
I don't like it offensively. I don't like it offensively because I think that the inmates will run the asylum on offense. And
But with those three guys, do you need an offensive mastermind? I don't think you really need an offensive mastermind. I think you need a defensive mastermind with those three guys. Me personally,
I think I don't think you need an offensive mastermind at all. No, I think defense is more important, but I think you need to have a concept of how people are going to score. And you watch Thibodeau teams, and I love Thibodeau. I speak very highly on Thibodeau. Offense, it's cringy. And I don't think that with that combination of guys, like there has to be, this is how we're gonna score. And I don't think Thibodeau has that. You watch Thibodeau teams, all he runs is pick and roll. That's it.
It ain't offense or defense you need. You need to shrink with them three. That's what you're gonna need. You got
facts.
That's true.
You need a Phil. You need that Montana Zen.
Hey, and speaking of Phil, we can get to this last dance, doc. We in the final 2 episodes. It's the Jordan retro dream we were on is finally over. We got the final 2 episodes to close out this 10-part series. And it starts off with the Reggie Miller Indiana Pacers, the Eastern Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. What did y'all think about reliving those moments and just seeing Reggie Miller talk about how he pushed it to 6? Or it went to 7, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 7-game series.
I think the Black Jesus story was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was super funny. It made me miss Reggie Miller. I don't think we have a current Reggie Miller in the league.
No, we don't.
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is the closest.
Yeah.
Klay is the closest.
He's better. He's better. I think.
Who would you rather have, Reggie Miller or Klay Thompson?
Reggie Miller.
What?
I'd rather have Reggie.
Yeah, I think just because of the moxie that Reggie,
Yes.
you know, he
The
had that
factor.
Because
extra
you like
moxie,
his personality, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen Reggie Miller score 37 points in a quarter. 60 points and 50,
Reggie Miller
also 50 something on.
Reggie Miller also didn't have the green light that Klay Thompson had though.
Yep.
Right.
It's a different
That's
NBA.
True. Different time. But I think
if you give Reggie Miller as many shots as Steph Curry and Klay, he would have damn near a 3-point record in the regular season too.
Here's the difference maker. Reggie Miller didn't play defense. That's the one thing about Reggie. Reggie was not great defensively. Klay Thompson is a stud defensively.
I'll give you that, but Klay Thompson ain't the clutch player that Reggie was either.
No, yeah. Reggie's up there with all-time great.
He's not.
He ain't as clutch, but he's clutch.
But but he's not as clutch.
I'm a Klay Thompson guy, so I'm gonna defend Klay.
I love Klay. I love Klay more than anybody, I think, but Reggie was just something else. I hated Reggie, but he was something else out there on that court, man. When you talk about clutch, like you said, he's one of the all-time greats as far as clutch shooting and getting clutch buckets goes. Ain't too many like Reggie Miller out there at all.
Ken, for that 7-game series, when they got to that game 7, did you think like the Pacers were actually gonna like take over and like win against the Bulls, like take down the run?
Nope, not at all. I think they were trailing by double digits. They came back and took a 3-point lead. Basketball is a game of runs. I knew one was inevitable. And when they lost that tip, I remember that. When they lost that tip and Kerr hit that shot, I knew it was over there.
The thing I remember about that series the most is I remember Mark Jackson was killing the Bulls. Like, and then Phil Jackson, I want to say it was either game 2 or game 3. Phil Jackson made the decision to put Scottie Pippen on Mark. And Scottie Pippen was guarding Mark full court for the rest of the series. Like it slowed everything that Indiana was trying to do because Mark Jackson was like the engine that made it go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Mark Jackson was making everything go. But when Scottie Pippen was on him, I mean, Scottie Pippen was like Mark Jackson was literally bringing the ball up like this the whole every time he brought the ball up with his back turned because like Scottie Pippen was on him. That's really one thing I remember about that series. Like because I didn't think Indiana was gonna beat them.
Yeah,
but I thought they had a chance though. Like it was like, oh, it's Chicago can't just check this off. You know,
to me that was the best team in the East that gave the Bulls a run. I loved it. That Indiana team was that was the best Indiana team. But that Indiana run, that 5-year window that Indiana had, that was the best team they had. I mean, they had Mark Jackson, Travis Best, Reggie Miller, the Davis twins, a young Jalen Rose, Chris Mullins. I mean, that was a really good team. Yeah. And honestly, that series was close, man. I mean, that was a home series. If Indiana, I to this day, I will contend that if Indiana had home field advantage in that series, they would have won that series.
Yeah,
probably so. Probably
they would have won that series.
You know what I loved hearing was, first of all, Reggie didn't want to do the interview at all.
No, he didn't.
So I thought that was funny.
That's because he's competitive like that.
Yeah, he is, because he remembers. But I love hearing Reggie. We all know he wanted the ball. Like, and I love hearing those guys like, yo, give me the ball. I'm the guy. We don't sort of hear that nowadays. But
he wasn't scared of Jordan.
Huh?
He wasn't scared of Jordan at all.
And that was the thing. That was the thing. He was not intimidated. And he said it, or somebody said he had the utmost confidence. But when he went through that play where he hit that shot, and he said, I'm gonna force the official to make a call. And he said, I gave him a little bump, and Jordan went flying and he got open. Like those little small details that are what make moments.
Yep.
But that's funny because that's like some backyard basketball bullshit. Like I gotta get this push off in order for me to get the separation I need. And it's funny because like he said, like I'm gonna make sure that you have to make the call. I know what I'm gonna do. It's a variable that I can't control as far as the ref. But if it's gonna end on me, it's gonna end on me. So I love that type of mindset. I think it's a similar mindset when you talk about Utah with what's his name, John Stockton. Like he had the same thing he was like, I'm not scared of Jordan. It was like I couldn't play against Jordan if I was like looking at him and worshiping him.
Yeah, but they didn't stand a chance.
Exactly. And Nick, I want to jump on that last part that you said. I don't think that a lot of players feared Jordan, but a lot of players knew that, damn, if he gets the last shot, like we're gonna lose. You know, I just think there was a reality check with playing against Michael that he is better than me, but I'm not gonna back down. And then when he got the ball, it was like there's nothing I can do about it. As hard as I played, you know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say there was a lot of people that were scared, at least not the other superstars that were at his level. They all wanted to compete. It's just Jordan had that extra 0.5 or 2% better than everybody else that they just couldn't match.
I'll tell you one thing. Jordan better be lucky that he got through that game 6, because if they would have lost that game, they were going to lose game 7 because Pippen, that back was gone. Pippen was not going to play game 7. And I remember that. I remember, like when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, that's right. Pippen did have that." And I remember he had that back then. I remember back then I was saying, "I'm like, yo, if Chicago, if they don't come away with this victory in this game 6, you know, it's a wrap." And I mean, of course,
Jordan knew that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he knew it. I mean, for one, Jordan was exhausted. You know, he was saying how tired he was and how exhausted he was just playing that game. If they would have lost that game, like I said. Scottie Pippen wouldn't have played, and Jordan would have probably he'd have been so mentally tired to try to do everything himself. Utah would have got that championship.
Let's be real. Utah gave them 2 championships. I mean, they should have beat them in '97. Karl Malone had a horrible series. That's why everybody, whenever I have debates with people about Karl Malone's greatness, give me Charles Barkley any day of the week over Karl Malone. Karl Malone, he just was a choke artist, bro. Like, you look back in that series, like, Karl Malone was terrible in that '97 finals. He was a little better in '98, but he was John Stockton was the best player on the court for Utah, those 2 finals. Like, let's be real. Like, you have Malone missing free throws in game 1 in '97 finals. I mean, just terrible. I mean, Utah really gave, out of all the teams that the Bulls faced in that '90s run, Utah, to me, were the two teams that should have beat the Bulls. I mean, 97, 98, the Bulls were up 3-1, so it's a little bit hard to make that case. But I mean, you got to think back to that '97 finals, bro. It's a 2-2 series, and Michael Jordan is sick, and you have a double-digit lead, and you lose that game?
Hold on. Was he sick? Y'all believe that?
Allegedly. So wait, hold on. Let's go down the road. Ken, was he sick, yes or no?
Well, he said he. Oh, you mean with the stomach?
Flu game. Yeah.
No, hell no. That's some bullshit. He finally figured out a way to spin it, but no, that wasn't food poisoning.
That story was terrible.
Hold on. So no, Shelton, was he sick or not?
Not at all. He was hungover for sure.
Beezy, was he sick or not?
Man, he ain't shit. He wasn't sick.
Nick, was he sick or not?
The worst story ever told.
Manny, was he sick or not?
I think he was sick. Now the reason why he was sick could be
Man, all right, bro. All right, Manny, we appreciate you coming through. All right.
and the Oscar goes to Michael Jordan for acting like he was sick award, playing the dang on basketball game. Sitting there.
The man said he had the flu. I gotta believe him.
Let me say my part on that, right? The only thing I'm thinking about is, okay, we order a pizza to the hotel and 5 people come to deliver. How do they know that's for Michael? You know what I'm saying? And they deliver it to his door.
It is Utah.
No, Mike. No,
it's very
Shelton,
small.
It's worse than that.
But how do you know Mike?
It's worse than that because it's like, who the hell stays up past 1 a.m. and gets pizza in Utah? No one does that shit. That nigga was
at a 5-star hotel.
And don't you think Michael Jordan would have a different name for his door? Or we ordered a pizza for Michael Jordan. Can we get a Michael Jordan pizza? You deliver it to Michael Jordan, room 548. Like, come on, man.
He probably did have a different name, but I mean, but it's Utah, so this ain't like this is Philadelphia. It's freaking Salt Lake City. So I guarantee you, there's not that many 5-star hotels. There's not many. It's not. I mean, let's put it frankly, there's not many niggas in there. So I mean, it could have been Ron Harper ordering that pizza. They were gonna spit or do whatever in that pizza. I mean, look, I like the conspiracy theories. I get a kick out of them. Could he have been hungover, knowing Jordan? Probably. I remember looking at him in that game. I mean, you could tell he wasn't right. I'm not gonna say he didn't look hungover. I think he looked sick. That's just me. You can call me Boo Boo the Fool, but whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think he was sick. I don't know the reason why. It could have been hungover. Could have been he had a bad cigar. I don't know, but he wasn't 100%. He wasn't 100% that guy. Like,
you can just tell.
He just wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't.
But
he was on
Ken, then he said something that made you cringe as far as the Utah not being that great against the Bulls.
I'm not a Karl Malone fan.
Same here.
So that series, I didn't really like MJ, but now, man, you could clear like when I was watching that, I just remembering like how dominant it felt like Chicago was over them. You were hoping that Utah could win that game, and we were happy.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Dominant?
Like the first one, like for them to come back and tie it up 2-2. Once they went down, like I didn't think
Chicago had the championship medal, but I mean, if you just look at the rosters, and the other thing too, Jerry Sloan, I love him, God bless him, but Jerry Sloan, his double teaming late in games, they couldn't figure out double teaming for shit. Like, how is Jordan open to hit that shot in game 1? I mean, how is he just getting a wide open shot in game 1? And even the Steve Kerr, I mean, even the Steve Kerr shot in game 6. I mean, they messed up that sequence there. I mean, to me, Utah gave those series away. Because honestly, if you look back, outside of Jordan and Pippen, I think to me, Utah had a better roster. To me,
oh no, man.
I think Utah.
Yeah.
At the very least, Utah should have won one of those championships.
Yeah, Utah had a solid roster, and they had an awesome coach with a great game plan. I think they were
to me the Suns, the '93 Suns, and the '97 Jazz were the two teams that should have beat the Bulls in those finals.
The Suns were down 3-1 to the Bulls, weren't they?
But they were. But those were close games. The Suns lost the first 2 games of those series. Chuck was hurt, and KJ had a horrible series. KJ was terrible that series. I mean, look back at the numbers. KJ was terrible. I mean, I think he had a game where he shot like 2 for 16, had like 7 points. I mean, KJ was terrible in that series.
Oh no. I wanted them to
win. It's all revisionist history. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think Utah and Phoenix should have won one of those championships.
I think out of all the teams though, Indiana would have been the team, even though that's same side. Indiana was the team that was probably better than Chicago out of the 3 teams that we just talked about. So they shouldn't have.
Indiana was deep. Indiana had a dope bench. They
did. Indiana had everything.
They had size.
Yeah.
They went too deep at every position.
Yep.
And they were strong.
And the combination of Larry Bird and Rick Carlisle coaching, that was a good combination.
And another thing is too, man, Jesus Christ, Twitter people, whoever be handling these Twitter accounts and stuff, the second that Michael Jordan talks shit to somebody, they just act like that's just the most savage thing ever. Like when he shook Bird's hand after they beat Indiana, he went and hollered at Bird and he come, fuck you, bitch, and all that shit. That's regular guy talk, man. Like that is regular shit talking. That is nothing savage or more extraordinary of what. Oh man, y'all heard Jordan. Jordan is like the utmost trash talker. He didn't even say nothing. Like, come on, y'all.
Right.
Y'all got to stop this.
And I'm sure they said just as much to him. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Stop acting like when Jordan curses something or talk shit that it's just a whole new level of, oh my God, y'all heard Jordan trash talking? Look what he said. And there's clips of it. And people, I'm like, come on, y'all need to
that was
I think it had a lot to do with who it was. It was Larry Bird and Michael.
It
Greats.
That was awesome to me. When he told him, he was like, now you get to work on your golf game. I was like, yeah.
That's just regular. That's regular men. That's us men talking shit.
And Larry Bird and Mike have that kind of relationship. Like they're really close too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's nothing extraordinary about that. Why people blowing that clip up? I don't get it.
It's just 2020 Twitter. They're gonna blow up anything.
Jesus Christ, man.
Right.
Michael could have said.
Y'all don't got no damn friends,
and they would have.
That's all. They don't got no. They ain't had no friends growing up. That's all that shit is.
Speaking of blowing things up. I want to get to the last episode 10, as far as why did this run end? Why did Jerry Krause kill this dream from the beginning of the season? Because I feel like that's something that is kind of lost in the beginning of the doc I think towards the middle of the doc when they say that Jerry Krause told Phil Jackson, I don't give a damn if you go undefeated, you still ain't coming back.
You got the wrong Jerry.
Yeah, that's an easy answer.
What Jerry was that?
Jerry Reinsdorf, who signs the checks.
Yeah. So why did this run end? Like, what logical reason it could be for
Jerry Reinsdorf was cheap. Go ahead, Sha. I'm walking all over you.
No, you go ahead because I want you to make that point too. That's a good point.
To me, and I said it on the podcast we were all on the other day. Jerry Reinsdorf to me is the biggest culprit why this. Let's just be honest, man. Jerry Reinsdorf didn't want to pay these dudes. He never wanted to pay them to begin with. I mean, the fact that Michael Jordan was only making lost in all of the Scottie Pippen contract hoopla was the fact that Michael Jordan wasn't even making that much more than Scottie. Michael was getting all his money from Nike. So Jerry Reinsdorf was just cheap. And Jerry Reinsdorf's notoriously always been cheap. He's a cheap baseball owner, and he's even a cheaper basketball owner. Like, he never wants to pay anybody. And Jerry Reinsdorf looked at it. He was like, yo, look at all these dudes that Michael's making money off. I mean, you look at the following offseason. Steve Kerr got a $40 million deal. Luke Longley got like 45, 50 million to the Suns. Like, all the money that he knew he was going to have to pay these dudes, Jerry Reinsdorf told himself, I'm not paying all these dudes. I'm not paying a 35-year-old Michael. I'm not paying a 31-year-old Scottie Pippen who's been bitching and complaining for years about his contract. Like, I think it was Jerry Reinsdorf, yo. Like, to me, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. You're the owner. You are the guy that signs the check. You have the greatest athlete, arguably, ever play team sports. And you don't keep that dynasty going. You don't suck everything dry out of that drink. To me, it's negligence as an owner, man.
It's not. And Shante, I know you wanted to go, but I have to jump in here.
Go ahead.
It's good GMing. And sometimes you got to do things that aren't necessarily popular. You got to do what's popular. Yeah, because you look at the state of that franchise. Number one, you weren't necessarily drafting high draft picks like Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were, right? You're no longer drafting there. So how are you going to be able to retool, not necessarily rebuild, but if you want to keep a dynasty going, right? No. Because when they brought in Rodman, when they brought in Judd Bush, hold on. When they brought in Steve Kerr, they retooled from that first three-peat. They didn't have an opportunity to retool because Jordan is win to yesterday mode, right? Who else were you going to bring in there at market value right, at a fair market value to truly compete? And then are you going to sign 3-year deals for these new players? And what happens if you sign Michael Jordan to a 1-year deal, he decides to go? Now you're stuck with these other guys for 2 more years. That impedes the rebuild process. And I also think that it was time, because if you look at the landscape of the NBA, who was the next champion? The San Antonio
Lakers,
Spurs.
Spurs and the Lakers.
The San Antonio Spurs, which Steve Kerr is the only player to have a 4, like to win 4 championships in a row. By the way, if y'all didn't know that, people don't be knowing this stuff. However, if you look at the way that roster was constructed, first of all, Tim Duncan was giving Shaq problems. Tim Duncan. They also had David Robinson. They also had Sean Elliott. They also had a lot of younger guys, right, that can physically compete with the Bulls, and then the Bulls didn't have nothing that can compete with their 2 best players. So it was time. It was time. Not saying that, and I'm not going to put anything past MJ. You went 6-0. Great player. Obviously the greatest. I think he's the greatest. But if you look at how or where the Bulls were going, where the NBA was going at the same time, there was no way the Bulls were going to be the San Antonio Spurs the next year with Luke Longley and Steve Kerr.
Listen, man, I'm sorry, FIFO, but I disagree. I believe that it was Michael's call to make. Like you said, Mike won 6 championships. It should have been his call. Like we would have sat down and had a conversation. Like, where do you see the team at, Mike? Like, what do you think? You're the greatest player on the planet.
But you think Pippen coming back? You think Pippen coming back? Pippen
wasn't coming back. Pippen was.
Mike said he was.
Mike said
was
gone.
Mike said
Mike
he
talked
would.
him into it.
I think if Phil comes back, I think Mike comes back. I think Pippen is not. Pippen's gone. Pippen was gone. Pippen was gone in August. Like Pippen was gone. Like there was no way Pippen was coming back.
I think that Mike could have had a conversation with Pippen and maybe brought him back. But my thing is, whether they won or lost, I think I would have still gave him another shot. I think they deserved it. I just think that if it's hard to break up a band like that. I think when you say what was the demise, I think it was Jerry Krause for me. And that's and man, you made a great argument about that, about it being Reinsdorf, and I get that too. But Jerry Krause got that short man complex. He just wanted to be the boss, and he wanted to make moves. It seemed like he was a genius more so than acting on what was happening at the time.
But he was he not? All up until that
he
point,
was.
He made, but he still had something to prove because he didn't get the respect deserved with
I give you that.
So in saying that, let me be smarter just to show you how smart I am. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna make these moves, and I'm not saying it was the worst thing to do, but like you said recently, somebody said the other day, one of y'all, they've been in rebuilding mode ever since. So
exactly. That's the thing about this too, man. It's like, I love how these people, and I'm not saying you people in particular, I'm just saying in general, I love how everybody wants to rebuild until the rebuild happens, and then they realize it's harder than it actually is.
Yeah.
This rebuilding sounds great on paper, like, oh yeah, I can tear it down and I can draft picks. Michael Jordan ain't walking back through that door. Scottie Pippen ain't walking back through that door. And that's why I can't stand this whole rebuild logic. Like, to me, when you've got the best, again, I say that, the best player to ever lace up basketball shoes, still at the peak of his powers, or at least close to it, and wants to play, you have the greatest coach to ever coach, who had you mended fences. That's why I bring up Jerry Krause being the biggest culprit, because Jerry Krause let this relationship between Jerry Reinsdorf let this relationship between Krause and Phil and the players fester for years. It just didn't happen the summer of '97. I mean, this was years in the making. And that franchise needed an adult in a room. They needed somebody to get in there and say, yo, we need to sit down and we need to understand what the hell is going on here.
Right.
And why didn't Jerry Reinsdorf go to Jerry Krause and say, yo, I need you to get along with Michael. Michael is the Bulls.
Right.
He's the cash cow. Like, without Michael, we're nothing.
Yeah. Because that's one thing we talk about.
And if Jerry Krause doesn't get in line, then you replace Jerry Krause.
Right.
You can find another Jerry Krause. You can't find another.
I won't go that far. I ain't going that far, Manny. But Shelton, what were you saying?
I was going to say, you think about it. Like, if Jordan had came back for another year, I don't give a damn if they won a championship or not. Every arena would have been sold out. Every jersey would have been sold. You would have got another shoe. All this stuff, the money would have came. It was about the money for me. Let that man go out. You know what I'm saying?
Who made it to the finals in '99 in the East? Who made it to the finals?
Spurs.
New York.
Oh, and the
No,
East.
New York.
Knicks.
Spurs,
The
New York,
eighth seeded-
right?
AC.
The
New York.
eighth seeded
Yeah.
New York Knicks. Anybody on this panel want to debate me that the Chicago Bulls, a tired Chicago Bulls team, a Michael Jordan with a bad finger? Because if y'all didn't realize, Michael Jordan had an accident over the summer where he had a cigar incident. We cut his finger. So he couldn't grip the ball for so he couldn't grip the ball for a few months.
Them damn cigars.
Them damn cigars.
Yeah.
I will take a injured, 9-fingered Jordan against that New York Knicks team any day of the week.
100%, Manny. And you know what? They would have beat that Knicks team, and then they would have got swept by San Antonio.
We can say that. We can say that. Who knows?
Hold on, FIFO.
Look.
You heard what Mike said in the doc. He said, I ain't Shaq. You was talking about Timmy D. He was giving Shaq problems. He was like, look, I ain't Shaq.
There's two of them.
I ain't Shaq.
But there was 2 7-footers.
Thank you, people.
There's 2 of them. It's not just Tim Duncan. If it was just Tim Duncan, yeah, I put my money on the Bulls.
Soft ass.
But don't be disrespectful, man. I'm about to throw you in the boat with Nick over there.
I'm a Laker fan, man. Don't talk to me about David Robinson or the Spurs, man.
But look, I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you guys, and you guys sound like fans, and that's no disrespect. Like, I'm a fan too. I'm a big time fan too, and I will.
That's hella disrespect. That's coming from me.
Whatever. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you're an owner and you're a GM, you got to look at the business of it. And like I was explaining before, fine, we bring back MJ, we bring back everybody minus Scotty, right? Because I don't think Scotty was signing. Like he had enough, and he wanted his money. He wanted a fresh start. I don't think he wanted to be in Jordan's shadow anymore. With that being said, could the Bulls have made it out the East? Yes. But then some of these guys you would have to sign for longer than 1-year deals. I don't think Steve Kerr, if Steve Kerr had San Antonio saying, hey, we're going to give you 4 years, $40 million, or Chicago said, we're going to give you 1 year, 5, he's going to take the money. The majority of these guys would have taken the money. And we also have to look at the fact that they played in 3 straight finals. And we know what type of mental anguish, physical anguish, everything that you have to put into it to win. These guys were dumb tired. If you brought that team back, I don't think that it would have been the best.
I think the biggest frustration.
No, go ahead.
I think the biggest frustration, though, is that we didn't see them get beat. And that's the thing. Like, every champion at least has to get defeated. Like, you got to see them lose in the heat of the battle. You know what I mean? Like, at the very least, there's closure if they come back in 99 on all 1 year deals. And I agree with you. It would have been some finagling to get everybody on the same page, especially Scotty. And I agree with you. Scotty's gone.
But my whole thing though is bringing Jordan back and trying to bring that cast back. What would that have meant? Just that 1 year financially for the Bulls. What do you think that would have brought in as opposed to breaking up the band?
I can't say the damn word the way I want to. It's a consequential. I know I'm kind of close.
I got you.
Inconsequential. and the reason why I say that is even though the Bulls have been rebuilding since Jordan left, the Bulls, especially for the last, I would say 5 to 7 years after Jordan left, were still top 5 in ticket sales and filling the arena. Because Jordan placed that organization, that franchise, with the mystique of one of the best ever in the NBA history. And because of that, I think it was best that question is never answered about the 7th one, because that mystique is what drives, or one of the aspects that drives that whole lore of the Bulls and of Michael Jordan and the way he went out against Utah. There's no better way. The timing was right for them to move on and let what Michael Jordan created as the NBA to manifest itself into what it is today. The game didn't need Jordan no more. To be honest, it didn't need Jordan no more. Jordan needed the game more than the game needed Jordan.
That's why I stop you. FIFA. The ratings for that 99 finals were shit compared to the year prior. Come on now, can't say that.
But my point.
Especially coming off a strike season too.
But my point is this: if Jordan comes back and Jordan isn't that, right? Do we really want to see our greatest guy stumble to the end? It's the same conversation that we had on Dead Hip Hop like 2 years ago. Do we want the best artists to fade away or to burn out?
I'm with you. I mean, the way it went down was perfect for me as a fan, because I wanted Jordan to end up on top. But what I'm saying is, for business, there's no way you don't let him come back if he wants to. It's Jordan. What more could you ask for?
Because the business isn't Jordan. The business is the Chicago Bulls. And for the best interest of the Chicago Bulls, it's time to move forward.
Jordan is the Chicago Bulls.
Jordan
and the biggest failure Jerry Reinsdorf made was he allowed Michael Jordan to wear another uniform. That to me is dereliction of duty. Like to me, you have that your duty is for the greatest player to ever put on a basketball uniform to retire. Like he tells you when he wants to go.
That's it.
B, do you think? B, do you think
that's why I stand with it.
But hold on, Manny. But
run ended well.
But I think that's before. I think all of that conversation, like the Jordan would have came back. The thing is that you had to take care of everybody else, and they didn't do that. And because they didn't do that, they couldn't bring them back. That was the issue. Because if you would have took care of Scotty, when you get to the second three-peat, you could bring Scotty back. But because you didn't take care of Scotty, what is that roster?
But that's where I blame Jerry Reinsdorf, because had he done his job years prior, like it wouldn't have manifested itself to the point where you had an angry Scottie Pippen, to the point of saying basically, fuck y'all, I'm going to go get paid. Like, I think had you handled that situation years prior better,
right?
I think it doesn't get to the point where you have that situation in '98. Now it's all revisionist history. It's all easy for us to sit here now and talk about this stuff. And there's a lot of people that are on both sides of it. Like there's some people that said they should have definitely brought everybody back. There's some people that said there was no way they were going to be back. So it's very split. And I see the aspects of both sides, but I just can't get over the fact that Jerry Reinsdorf basically allowed Michael Jordan to walk away and retire without, at the very least, trying to bring that crew together. To me, if you have Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan back on board, you have a chance. That's just me.
Didn't they try? They tried at the end, right? But it was too late.
Yeah, too late.
So they knew, but they just knew too late.
I got a question about I think Scotty's recent comments about his portrayal in the doc. There was a comment. There's an article that says that he's livid. B, do you think that Scotty has does he have a right to be angry about how he was portrayed in the doc as a selfish kind of player?
I mean, what happened in the doc is what actually happened when he quit on his team in '94 playoffs. That's facts. Like that's. I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably was mad at the fact that they didn't portray nothing positive about Scotty. So I mean, I guess from that standpoint, I would have been like, damn, why y'all didn't show how much I sacrificed such and such and such and such or whatever. But I mean, to be honest with you, I kind of saw this coming. Like I knew probably Horace Grant was gonna say some stuff. Oh, the documentary is 90% bullshit. I knew Pippen was gonna say some stuff or whatever. So I mean, does he have a right? Yeah, he has a right. I mean, he has a right to be mad or whatever. I mean, because like I said, what we saw was still factual. It's just a matter of the fact that they just only point out the negative about it. But it is what it is. Whatever. Pippen, I don't care about Pippen either. Whatever, Pippen. You a good Robin. Get on somewhere, Pippen.
He dug his own hole. That's my stance on it. Yeah. He dug his own hole. When he sat there and basically said, I look back on the '94 situation.
Yeah,
and there's nothing that I would change.
Yeah.
I was just like, this dude is brain dead.
Yeah,
like,
you already know what type of stuff he was on. You already know what he was on.
Come on now. You quit on your team and then you look back at it 20-something years later and you wouldn't change anything. Yeah, bye, Scotty.
All right.
Yeah. I think, for me watching this entire series, what I concluded about Scottie Pippen, he's the flakiest superstar ever.
Facts.
Because when you look at him, early days against Cleveland, his back hurting or the migraine, and it just seemed like at very major points, in games that can, win or go home, there was something wrong with Pippen, and Jordan had to even overcome that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think the doc portrayed Pippen the way, maybe not in the greatest light. However, Pippen had a lot of great moments, and I think the doc showed that too. But overall, what I took away from it, from Scottie Pippen's perspective, is he was just flaky. When they needed him most, he wasn't there. Where if it was, he didn't take care of his surgery in time, the migraines, the back, and obviously some of those things he can't control. I get it, But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's game 6, game 7, win or go home, and you're not 100%, or you're not even 95% to play. So that's the issue.
I want to know what else Scotty said that could have changed the way that we look at it. He was asked, he saw the documentary from what I heard or saw before this thing even went live. So he was fully aware of what was being said. So what was it? And if he didn't see the final product, what was left on the cutting room floor? Because Scotty had a really good defining moment when he played in that last game with his back all jacked up. But, I don't think he really got celebrated for toughing it out because, going up to that point, based on the way they portray him, with everything else, it made it, you would think that he was going to sit it out. But he went back in the game and he tried and he made an impact. So what is he upset about? What did they leave out that we didn't hear?
Maybe it was more of like somebody else was like, who watched it while he was there or whatever, whisper something in his ear like, nah, they got you fucked up right here. Or whatever. You know how some people kind of
got himself fucked up. He said
he
all
answered
those
the
things.
questions. He answered the questions that they asked him. Again, he answered the fact that he said, yeah, I wasn't going to fuck up my summer. He said that. That came out of his mouth. Like, so I don't understand how, like,
right. Everything is factual, man. Yeah.
It wasn't like something was written. Where you know how it is when you write something, you can kind of skew it in a way, or you're reading it in a way that sounds. No, he answered the questions.
Yeah.
So like, I just don't understand how facts exactly. Yeah. So like, I don't. To me, Scotty is flaky, man. I'm with you, folks. Scotty's a sometime and dude, man.
Get your ass out of here, nostrils.
All right, what were some of y'all favorite moments from 9 and 10, or just throughout the whole doc itself?
And listen, Dennis Rodman going to fucking wrestle.
That was the best part. Easily the best part. No, you had practice. And Ken, during the NBA Finals, this wasn't no regular season game or playoff game around 1 or 2. This was the NBA Finals. You left. You went to a wrestling match on the day that y'all supposed to have practice. Come back, you still playing ball out. That's how important you are to the team. Like, and the team you ain't even suffer no consequences. You didn't get benched for the game.
Nope.
Because you knew how important Dennis Rodman is. Like that's insane. So I 100% agree with you, Ken.
They didn't even talk about it.
Huh?
What are you gonna say, Nick?
I was gonna say my favorite quote from Phil Jackson when the reporters were asking him about where's Dennis, it was like Dennis got y'all distracted. He ain't got us distracted at all.
Yeah. That's Phil's greatness, man. So I don't want to hear shit like people. Even I forgot about that. I'll be honest. I forgot that he did that.
Yeah.
But people look at all of the stuff that people are doing now, that people do nowadays, and they, some of these stories, are forgotten in history. But he came out and he played hard as hell, and he had an impact. But yeah,
because they knew you know what you're gonna get from Rodman, man. So
I mean, it shows that you have to it's a lot of people management because you can't manage everybody the same way, right? And you have to manage certain people differently. You have to cater to their emotional and physical needs as well. And Phil had a good pulse on what his players needed.
Agreed. I mean, that's what makes Phil the greatest coach of all time, man. It's not just about X's and O's. It's about managing talent, managing egos, and building a cohesive unit. And that's what made Phil the greatest coach of all time. I mean, he did that with the Bulls. He did that with the Lakers. I mean, just think about it. We talked about it on the show the other day. Just think about it. He dealt with everything that was surrounding Michael Jordan and those 6 championships. And then he goes to the Lakers and deals with Shaq and Kobe and still wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's not the greatest coach in NBA history, I'm sorry. I just don't know who else you can even. I mean, I know Pat Riley's great. I know Pop is great. Red Auerbach did his thing. I mean, but come on. I mean, to deal with what Phil had to deal with and still be not just great and win, but dominant at that. And I know he had talent. We all know he has talent. But give me what great coach that won a championship doesn't have talent. Like, you need talent to win. So
Them 04 Pistons.
man, listen, the Lakers lost that series more than the Pistons won that series. That's my stance.
Oh
on it.
man,
And I'm sticking to it. And I'm sticking to it.
He throwing low blows.
Spoken just like a Laker fan.
And I'm directing that right at you, B.
You afraid to admit the facts, man. You afraid to admit that Tayshaun had Kobe shook.
Man, listen, man. Tayshaun had Kobe shook. Man, get out of here, man.
Look at them game 3 stats.
Karl Malone was hitting on Vanessa.
Look at them game 3 stats. Kobe was shook, bro.
Karl Malone was hitting on Vanessa. Phil was writing a book.
Kobe
was facing rape. Kobe was facing rape charges and still balling out.
They got
Shaq
to the
was
finals.
fat.
They got to the finals though. You can't give them excuses. Pistons was
Man,
too
whatever,
much. We was
man.
too athletic. Y'all had a prime pass. Karl Malone. He was done. Gary Payton done. Billups and Rasheed was eating Malone and Gary Payton. Gary Payton wasn't the glove no more. And then Larry Brown had the perfect game plan.
If we play 10 times,
ain't no if. The game it's a 7-game series.
If we play 10 times,
we 5 games sweep y'all.
Man, get out of here.
You don't
even believe that.
Manny, B said if the glove don't fit, the Lakers quit.
Hey, the other moment from the documentary I thought Jordan was real slick with was the Byron Russell shot. Now, I don't know if y'all caught this, but he set that up in a previous episode when he talked about when he first met Brian Russell and how he played defense on his toes and how his momentum would go forward. He set that and put that in people's minds way ahead of the shot that eventually came. And that's why he was saying, I didn't push him off. His momentum was carrying him that way. And man, that dude is
So you think he pushed off?
You
think he pushed off?
Yeah, he pushed off. You could do that back then.
It didn't give him no advantage.
He
pushed off, but no official in America is going to call that on Michael Jordan late in the game.
Right.
You know that. I know that.
On Reggie Miller when Reggie Miller pushed off. So it goes both ways. But yeah, I still think he pushed off.
Reggie Miller ain't Mike.
But Reggie Miller still got away with it, though. That's the point. So if Reggie Miller got away with it, we know damn sure well that Michael Jordan's going to get away with it. But last thing, FIFA, and I'm handing it to you. The other thing, remember we talked about the details. I like when he said that when I was coming up the court, I like how everybody else said, get out the way. Rodman's like, just get out the way. Ain't no way he's going to pass the ball. I like what Pippen said. I like that everybody already knew what was about to happen. They were like, let's just get out of the way and just watch it. And I like what Michael Jordan, he was like, man, when I came on the court, I knew I could either drive it or take the shot. And it just shows that he's processing the game and he already knows how he was going to attack. The floor is yours, FIFO.
I definitely don't think that. I think Mike put his hand on him, but he didn't make Byron Russell stumble. Byron Russell was already going to fall with or without Jordan touching him. He touched him. He didn't push him.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think, it goes back. I can't remember which episode it was, but who was saying it? Man, I can't remember who was saying it, but they were talking about how Jordan started to see the game of basketball and how he was controlling everything in the game. Like he was playing games within the game. And I think that at the pinnacle,
BJ Armstrong.
BJ Armstrong. It was BJ Armstrong. And how BJ was saying that, like how he was just playing games inside of the game. And we saw that in that last instance. Like as a coach, I've coached basketball. You don't tell your players to do certain things. Instinctually, they do it because they understand time, score, temperature of the stadium or that court of what's happening. And for Jordan to double team off the weak side, they ran that same play so many times. Jordan instinctually, okay, cool. They did it again. This is what I'm going to do. He got the steal. Came down, like you said. Everybody just moved the hell out the way because they knew, but Jordan in himself knew that the game is mine. We played 47 and a half minutes for this moment. And it wasn't going to be nobody else's moment but his. And he seized it. It wasn't like, yo, give me the ball. Let's run a play. No, I went and took it from their best player, came down, and made arguably the greatest farewell shot ever to win a game. that's because he's Jordan, man. And this documentary was great. It filled in a lot of gaps for me. I grew up, I watched Jordan, but I only saw the championship years. I didn't see rookie Jordan. I didn't see struggling Jordan. I didn't see Doug Collins Jordan. I didn't see first year Phil Jordan. I didn't see that. I didn't understand the dynamic between Jerry Krause and Jerry Reinsdorf and the whole Bulls team. Like I didn't know that. So for this documentary to come out now, especially during these times that we actually could sit down, digest it, and all of that, man, it was amazing, man. So I'm glad that it came out. I'm glad that I lived in this era to watch MJ and to see all of the MJ babies and all of the great players that followed suit. Even international guys. But yeah, man, this documentary was awesome.
I was gonna say, FIFO, that tap was like, you know how you moving behind a girl in the club and she got a fat ass, you do that little tap.
Yeah.
That's the same amount of pressure.
I need to get by you.
That's the same amount of pressure Jordan gave to Russell.
That's ushering when you're in church and they usher you to your seat.
Yeah.
Hey, and that happened. There was another game when the shot he hit on him too. And Byron Russell did the same thing and went sliding all over the goddamn court.
Jordan gave him a hezzy left and pulled up.
Yep. Tom Brady said he up next. Tom Brady announced he got a documentary.
That'll be a good doc.
Hey,
man, get out of here, Tom. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, they do, because the white folks need this, because they trying to take down Michael Jordan. They want Tom Brady to be the greatest player of all time, of all sports.
I hope he flops in Tampa. He's not.
Shelton, what was your favorite moments?
I said this on Any Given Sunday with Manny. Y'all go check that out too. Tell everybody to check us out on there. When he was sitting there and when he broke down into tears when he was talking about why he did what he did, like I said, because I'm the ultimate competitor. I love competition. So I kind of get where he's. I wish I was him. Now I ain't that far along, but just how competitive he is and the spirit he has with that part made me want to cry. Like, dang, man, I get it. Like, I'm so competitive that I'm misunderstood sometimes, and that was deep to me. Plus the part where he said the first 3 championships was more athleticism, and the second 3 was more mental and more his, him coming into himself. So it's like the tale of 2 different players. That was deep to me. So those 2 parts is what stood out to me most. According, I mean, of course there were Jordan moments, but like you said, the best non-Jordan moment had to be anything with Robin in it. Anything Dennis Rodman did was dope to me. He was a special person. But that's pretty much it for me. What did it? But it was all good, man. I'm gonna miss this thing, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do right now because
I'm not.
Stop hating, man.
Be outside of the Isaiah and Bad Boy stuff. Is there anything else that you liked in the doc?
I mean, it was a good documentary. I can't really pinpoint what I liked or loved about it. Like I said, like I've been saying when we talk about these, I like them going behind the scenes of how Jordan, how Jordan thinks and just how he mentally prepares for stuff and how he's just wired different. Like Jordan is just a different guy. And I mean, those aspects and everything is cool to see that. But yeah, like the Piston joints was my favorite part. The Bad Boy stuff when we was whooping them up and shit. But other than that, I mean, it was a great documentary all in all, though. It was good.
Hey, Alex in the chat pointed out, and he's right. I forgot about this. That Steve Kerr moment in the documentary was good too.
Yeah, that was good. I didn't know about that. Didn't know about that.
Neither did I. And I understand why he is the way he is now and why he's so active.
Yeah.
And outspoken. I thought that was dope. And the last thing, and one of you guys pointed out in the chat, I think it was Kyle, ain't no way in hell I'm letting Jordan get away with this. I have that Kenny Lattimore album. I like that song Days Like This. There is no way in hell you bounce to that song like that.
Yeah, he was bouncing, wasn't he? It was like, I'm like, I thought he doesn't even groove like that. Like, why he?
Yeah.
I'm like, what
why you flapping?
Yeah, why you don't flap to that, dude? You do not flap to that at all.
I thought he had a Take Keith song. I'm like, damn, ain't this supposed to be 98? You're bouncing like the young boys.
I promise you. I was like, man, what you listening to?
He was listening to Hard Knock Life, man.
He said it like Kenny Lattimore was like somebody just like Michael Jackson, like, this is my personal friend. You don't know, it's new. This ain't even out yet. I'm like, man, Kenny Lattimore.
Yeah, when he said, because that is a good album from the Soul of a Man. That's a really great album. But when this fool said Kenny Lattimore, I was like, Jordan lying. I did not believe it. But Kenny Lattimore confirmed it on Twitter.
You don't flap like that, though. Why you flapping like that, though, Ken?
Dang, Kenny Lattimore, days like this.
Hey man, let that man live, man. When you can play basketball the way he can play basketball, man, you can.
Nope.
You can box to Kenny Lattimore the way you want to.
You're right. The joke's gonna still come, bro. I don't care what you. I don't care who you are.
He's good at basketball. This is what we do. We do music. So he come over here. This is our arena. This is our court.
Right.
He might have been listening. It's June '98. He might have been listening to some Hove, man. He might have been listening to some DMX. Big Pun or somebody.
Kenny Lattimore, and the song was Days Like This.
Kenny Lattimore fit the image better than
Okay, Kenny Lattimore said it was true. That is.
Hey man,
listen. For me, my favorite points of the doc was like, I think to expand upon what I also said on Manny's podcast. Make sure y'all check it out again. I love the players talking about these moments, like the Reggie Millers, the Gary Payton, Steve Kerr, John Stockton. Like we got like all Isaiah Thomas, all the legends talked about these moments like it was just yesterday. And you could tell like these moments define who they were in their careers as well too. So I like that type of all access pass to like not only do we hear from the man, but we also hear it from his opponents as well.
You know what? It's a shame we never got a chance to see Akeem go against MJ. I remember that shot. They had to show that Stockton shot all over again. Man, crushing.
Honestly, I think that's more interesting. Honestly, I think that's a more interesting discussion than 99 and 2000. Going for championship number 7. I think what would have happened had Jordan not retired in 93. Would the Rockets still would have won those championships? That to me is more of the interesting discussion than the final three.
Akeem was a problem, bro.
I think he would have got one, but that's about it. As far
that Rockets team was good. They had a really, really balanced roster. Sam Cassell was a young rookie. Kenny Smith was the truth. The Rockets gave them problems, but
Vernon Maxwell,
Vernon Maxwell, and MJ is on record. I think think BJ said this. Yeah. He's on record. He didn't want to play them.
No, he didn't.
He would have loved the challenge, though.
Of course.
So if he didn't want to play Olajuwon and them, he wanted to play Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Okay.
He over here petty as hell.
You're not gonna let that one go.
He smoked them boys, man.
Nope.
We'll never know. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Maybe any last thoughts?
No, I mean, you guys have said everything that is to say about the documentary. I mean, I'm pretty much with everybody. I mean, just recapping his greatness, man. I mean, that's the brilliance of it. I did enjoy the rise of Jordan. So him talking about his come up. Deciding to go to North Carolina, the worst school in Carolina.
Come on, bro.
Deciding to go there. Hey, I'm a Dookie for life. So, deciding to go to North Carolina. The even though it was a little bit of the first episode, just discussing his time in North Carolina, the come up, playing on USA basketball, then his first couple years in the league, just the come up of Jordan. I enjoyed that. Obviously, the story of how he went to Nike. We got to forever thank Mama Jordan for that decision. She gave Mike the nudge to go see Phil Knight in Oregon, and the rest was history.
Yeah,
but
crazy.
the part I enjoyed the most was the moments between Mike and his dad, just discussing that relationship. I enjoyed the human moments because, I mean, obviously we all know Jordan's greatness. That's not even a debate. But the human elements of Jordan, him discuss the part that really got me was the relationship he had with the security guard when they talked about that in episode 9 and 10, because we don't see that part of Jordan. You know what I mean? We all just see the greatness and the memes and everything like that. and we talk about his off the court exploits as far as gambling and all that, but we never talk about the human elements with Jordan. And he is a very private and reserved individual. So when you do get to see those little bits, I thought that was interesting. So the relationship he had with that security guard, obviously the stuff with his dad, I mean, was just heart wrenching. And finally hearing the audio of the Father's Day game championship, him just tearing. I mean, him just breaking down in the locker room. I mean, that stuff was just. I mean, I love seeing that. So. Yeah, overall, it was just a great documentary. I got to ask you guys real quick. Where would you guys rank this all time 30 for
30s?
I'll say top 5.
I haven't seen that many. I've watched this one and the Bad Boys.
Yeah, I watched so many I can't even remember, man. Like I know, I mean, the Ivo one was good. The Bo Jackson one was good.
Bo Jackson was good.
Yeah,
was Ric Flair good?
Huh?
Ric Flair, was that one good?
Ric Flair was good.
That was great. That was great. Yeah.
That was back when I used to watch wrestling. So yeah, Ric Flair was good. Of course, the Bad Boys and the Fab Five joints was good. I don't know
the SMU one was really good. The SMU one was good.
The SMU was good. Yeah, it's a lot of good ones, man.
I mean, so many great ones. OJ to me is the best. To me, still nothing is touching that one.
Talking about OJ versus America, or the long,
that one.
The 5-part
one. That one. Yeah, that
he
one.
Didn't do it, by the way.
Thank you. He did. Thank you, Ken. He didn't.
I ain't even gonna touch that one. I'm not touching that one.
He didn't do it.
That's a whole nother conversation.
He didn't. OJ didn't physically do it. OJ just made sure the job was done. That's it. He was there to make sure the job was done. The
OJ one is still the best. It's still the best one.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Manny. Now that you mentioned it, the OJ one is the best one because that's the one. I think I've watched that one like twice or 3 times. Like I literally watched it over again because I was that fascinated by the story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like the OJ one is the most compelling, the most fascinating because of obviously how great of an athlete he was and what he was doing on the field. It wasn't, it wasn't done. And then his perception of being black and then having a white wife and then she died. Like it was so much.
Everything about it, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. The Miami one, I think it's in like the top 3.
Oh,
that Miami one is.
So I don't know why I ranked this MJ one, Manny. I don't even know where.
I've watched so many and I've done so many reviews. That's why it's like in my
top 15.
It's top 10. It's in there. It's in the top 10 somewhere.
This one's top 3 for me. The U is definitely top 3. This one and OJ. Those are my 3. Maybe I don't know what.
Maybe that's Maybe that's a dead end episode. I mean, we ain't got no sports to talk about, so maybe that's a future episode.
That's actually true.
Discussing all the 30 for 30s.
I was gonna say, are y'all interested in like I don't know if they have the footage to do it, but like Phil Jackson a few years later going into that Laker dynasty.
That's what I want.
That's next. You got to do a Shaq and Kobe 30.
That's what I want.
That's
that may have been. Been better than this.
Let me ask y'all this: what would be the NFL version of Last Dance y'all would want to see? Like, it don't have to be called the Last Dance, but like, what's an NFL team or organization or whatever?
49ers.
I was gonna say them Cowboys teams with Emmett and Troy and Michael Irvin.
1 yard line.
With the
Seattle Seahawks?
No, No, you talking about the Tennessee Titans and the Rams.
Nah, I was talking about the Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
But the Cowboys would be great.
Cowboys would be great.
Yeah. That gives you. They did more off the field.
And he's dead.
Nate Newton.
Who?
Nate Newton.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Who are you gonna say?
I want some Lawrence Taylor stories too, man.
That's what I was gonna say. The Giants, the 80s Giants.
Yeah. That's a good one. The 49ers.
They did a 30 for 30 on the 85 Bears, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yep.
Hollywood Shuffle.
30 for 30 got some good. Man, 30 for 30 got some good documentaries. Man.
I would say I say if we talk about the NFL, the 49ers, the 80s 49ers, that's a good topic. You can have a couple episodes on that. I mean, they don't have a lot of off the field stuff, but it doesn't have to be off the field. It just could be talking about that dynasty, how they were created.
I know my pops he'll say the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s. Still
Yeah.
Curry.
Yeah, that's a good
Still
one.
Curry.
The Raiders. The
Yeah.
Raiders. I'm surprised you haven't seen a Raiders. Is there a Raiders 30 for 30? I don't think so.
Al Davis.
I think Ice Cube did one with him.
Oh, when the Raiders
Is there
when
a
the Raiders
Deion
left
Sanders
LA,
one?
yeah. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. When he played in the same, when he played a playoff game for the
I
Braves.
watched it.
I
just watched it. I'm tripping.
Hey, you know what? I mean, it's not on ESPN, but I don't know if any of y'all checked it out. It was a documentary that came on HBO about the women's USC with Cheryl Miller and Cynthia Cooper.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yo, that shit was good, man. If y'all get a chance, why I forgot what's the Women of Trojan or something like that, Troy or something like that. But when y'all get a chance, watch it, man. It's on HBO. It's good.
Hope it's Troy and not Trojan, because that could go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name verbatim, Ken. I gotta look it up. But yeah, man, it's a dope documentary. It's really a dope documentary. Yeah, now you
there's a Stephon Marbury documentary that's really good. I'm halfway through it, but it's really, really good. It's like on VOD, so it's available like on Prime Video, YouTube, or whatever. It's only like $3 or something like that, but it's a really good documentary. It talks about his whole life coming out of Brooklyn, getting into the NBA. I think it's called A Kid from Coney Island. That's a really good documentary.
Got me looking at this damn women shit now.
Yeah, it's out there. So if you guys are interested, it's out there. Find it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I had. I just wanted to get y'all thoughts on that, and because now we have time. I'm waiting for the next one. It feels like they're turning these out, as B and Manny was just pointing out to, like how many 30 for 30s, but a few ones that just stick out that everybody just sits back and watch. I can't wait for that next one.
That Bruce Lee one looks like it's gonna be really good. Yeah,
B Water or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that 98 home run chase is gonna be a good one too.
Yeah.
Talking about that. I hope they get into Sammy Sosa's new look.
Boy, that he cast with a friendly ghost. Live action.
Women of Troy. Yeah, that's what it's called. Women of Troy. Okay. Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah, Women of Troy. Yeah, Women of Troy. I looked it up. Women of Troy.
We need a Duke 30 for 30.
No, we don't.
Man, we don't need nothing from Duke.
We good.
Nothing from Duke.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us. Manny, we appreciate you coming through, man, and hanging out with us.
It's an honor, man. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. And for those of you that are still listening, I will drop the link to the Last Dance Roundtable that they recorded, and it came out today actually. So no, yesterday, Wednesday. So you guys can hear their reactions to that, and I'm sure some more fleshed out conversations as well. So you guys can check that out. And we are aiming to return back to our regular schedule starting next week. So 9 p.m.s. I'm gonna try to schedule these in advance so you guys will know, so we won't be bouncing back all over the place. So we're trying to get back to normalcy as the world starts to readjust. So anyway, thank you guys for showing up, man. We always appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys next time. We out. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.